Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the 2026 Covington County Media Days here at Lost Pizza in Andalusia, Alabama. Today is going to be a fun-filled day as we're going to be covering Pleasant Home, Florala, Straughn, Andalusia, and Red Level. I think I already said that, I don't know. We're going to have a lot of coaches, a lot of players to talk to about the 2026 season and expectations. I'm Andrew Redthers, as always, joined by Wayne Johnson here at Powerhouse Sports. So y'all like and share, stay tuned. We'll have Andalusia starting us off, and then 2:30 have our next team popping up as well. Y'all like and share, represent your schools in the comments. And here we go for the 2026 Covington County Media Days. And we are back for the Covington County Media Day. Starting us off on the day is the Andalusia Bulldogs. We have Coach Williamson to my right, to your left. We have Coach Wyndham as well. And Coach Williamson, we'll start off with you. Kind of tell everybody your journey to becoming the DC Andalusia, kind of your stops beforehand and how you got here.
Yeah, so I was graduated from Alabama in 2012 and always really loved coaching, but went to Demopolis High School. When at Demopolis, I was under Tom Colson, and just kind of happened into that. Needed a job out of college, got into it with him. It was a really, really good tree to get into, though, and I had no idea. And so get into the job with him. Me and my wife were going to get married. We're looking to get a little closer to each other. And so I actually took a job at Ott for 2 years, coached with Griffin over there, and we had a good time. But probably one of the most impactful stops in my career because I got to coach with Mike DeBose during that time and learned a ton of ball from him. And after those 2 years, Griffin actually left, and he called me about a job at Andalusia. And anyway, it sounded, too good to pass up. And so I got the opportunity. So now I've been there for 10 years now. I've been the defensive coordinator, I think, for the last, or starting 11 years, but then defensive coordinator for the last 9.
And Coach, thank you for taking time out of your day to come join us and here talk about the Andalusia Bulldogs. And Coach Wyndham, kind of introduce yourself to everybody and kind of tell us your journey coming back home to Andalusia High School.
So I grew up here. I'm from Andalusia. Played for Coach Taylor. Went off to college. I lived in Tennessee for 8 years in college, and then after college as well. There, coached high school ball there in Chattanooga. Got hired back at Straughn in 2012. And then when Trent took the job at Andalusia in 2015, came over with him from 2015 to 23. So those 9 seasons I was with him at Andalusia. The Straughn head coaching job came open that fall of 23 after Coach Gilcrease left. And I wanted to kind of test the waters there, the head coaching world, and did that for 2 years. Enjoyed it. That's my kids. I go to school there. My wife teaches there. It's a great community. But found out quickly that's not something I really wanted to do. It's a different world, and I think that's a path that the coaching world puts on coaches is that you got to be a head coach, and that's a whole different soapbox we can get on. But so did that for 2 years. I took the offensive line job in Baldwin County in January with Coach Moore down at Foley when he offered me the job down there. Was there from January to May. Got to see him operate at a high level. That staff that he has there, I learned a lot from him, and then was fortunate enough to be hired back here off the athletic director position here in Andalusia, and I'm back here now. I guess it's season 10 as well for me here in Andalusia.
So we have 2 long-time Bulldog coaches and Coach. We have some questions tailored to you as well. But Coach Williams, starting with you. So 2026, a lot of summer practices, fall practice just started. kind of tell us going into 2026 some of the team goals and expectations here for the Bulldog team.
I think number one, we always expect to win a state championship or compete for one. I mean, I think being at Andalusia, that's the standard. We enjoy that. We love that part of it. We expect to make deep runs and get better as the season goes on. I really like this group's competitive energy. I think with a lot of them in the past, every group's a little different, man. And with this one, you kind of feel a little bit of that hunger again, man. With Coach Wyndham coming back and with Coach Smith, those two guys kind of pairing up on the offensive side of the ball. We've had some really, really competitive practices through the summer. And so it feels good to have that kind of same energy back. And these guys they're really hungry to do well. And that's what excites me most about it.
And Coach, I don't know if you can speak on it. If you can't, you can't. But I was going to ask you, so you'll either replace a quarterback this upcoming season. You'll had a tremendous start of the last 2 years, maybe 3. I remember Jack playing, and then Noah came in. He did a fantastic job here at Andalusia's quarterback as well. But can you kind of give some insight on the competition in Andalusia so far and the quarterbacks you'll have battling out for that starting spot?
Yeah, so we went into the spring and decided, you can choose not to do a spring. We did because we felt like we needed to see some of those guys. And so Tyson Smith and Zay Leslie both worked really hard to try to play the position and competed really well. And at one point, we kind of, looked at it and said, these guys are both doing a really good job. It hurts us probably more if Tyson's not playing wide receiver and DB because we lose kind of out on both sides of the ball.
Yeah.
And Zay's grown a lot, gotten a lot better, and he has a good offensive line, a good wide receiving group, and a good running back around him. And so Zay Leslie would, be the guy going into the fall. And he's got a ton of potential, man. A lot of room to grow. And that's a part of kind of the team in general. It's a lot of 10th graders. We have a really big 10th grade class with somewhere around 35 kids in it. And so that's a really outstanding class. And a lot of our success depends on how fast that 10th grade group gets ready to play ball. And so he'll do it, though. And a lot of confidence in Coach Smith to get him ready and Coach Wyndham to put the O-line in front of him. So.
And, Coach, before I throw it over to Mr. Wayne, so you guys, obviously, there's a lot of players on the Andalusia team somebody knows. I know number one is MJ that stands out to me at running back. Phenomenal athlete, phenomenal player. There's a lot of guys on the defensive side of the ball, or maybe just on the team in general, that people should start watching out for that could be a big name in Alabama by the end of 2026.
Yeah. One sitting here, Jamari McIntosh. He's got the wrong jersey on today, but he's number 11 on Friday night. He's a really good ball player, got an opportunity to play at the next level, really physical kid. And more than any of it, just I think epitomizes our defense with intensity and effort. We kind of always hung our hat on that. If guys aren't going to run to the ball, they're not going to be on the field in the first place. And he's kind of grown into that. He was really bad when he was young, and the fact that he's as talented and as good a football player as he is right now is a credit to him and how hard he works. Calvin at linebacker here with us today too. He's a guy that's played multiple positions for 3 years, mainly inside backer, but at times he'll go down and be kind of a rush in for us. Really good player, and he's got some big shoes to fill out of Neelix from last year. And then Mello on the back end has played corner for us now for 3 years. And obviously really, really talented kid, but kind of like a emotional leader at times too, man. Really fiery, really competitive, and brings a lot of energy for us on Friday nights. So that's 3 really good players, 3 really good seniors that represent us the right way.
And Andalusia seems like their defense might be a position group to watch this year, Coach Williamson. And Mr. Wayne, I'm throwing it over to you.
Yes, sir. First of all, we need to talk about that ring in your finger. What you got there?
Oh man, that's 2022 there. Miss Patty, they're a bigger ring. Miss Patty, Coach Sutter's wife, she kind of always gets onto us a little bit. When we get opportunities to wear it, she says we should. It's hard earned, man, and that's a good group. Right? Yeah. So this is the first group. None of these guys, it's the first class we've had that don't. None of the members have a ring from that group. None of them were on it, so kind of feels like starting back over a little bit,
Right. Well, obviously y'all have a tough non-region schedule, and this what non-region game do you think you're going to get the most out of? You think to make you guys go to the next level? Great to see.
Oh yeah, I think you look at all 3 of them from a number standpoint. They're going to outnumber us. They're 6 or 7A with 6A now, I guess, schools. But if Coach Taylor, he's going to schedule a tough non-regional slate. So I think you're going to learn a lot about ourselves early on with Tomka coming in week 1. But his train of thought is, we want to be battle tested because our region is it's going to be tough in itself. But those non-region games where I've never known him to schedule wins, he's going to schedule guys to come in. So it's going to early on allow us to see where we're at. Because the Tompkins will have they got some dudes, and they got some guys that can play. They're going to have the depth, we may not have initially, but I wouldn't have any of it. That's what you got to do it. See where you're at. Got to set yourself a benchmark.
That's right. Iron sharpens iron.
Yeah.
Well, tell me this. I mean, everybody loves the defense, and everybody loves your quarterbacks, running backs. I want to know about this offensive line. Okay, let's talk about the big nasties. Nobody gives them the love.
No, nobody loves them except for me and their moms. That's what I always tell them. And coming in to this situation, to this offensive line right here at Andalusia was, I had some of these guys when they were coming in as freshmen. So I've been out of here for a few years. So I knew some of them. One of the more enticing things was like there's only one senior. So I got one senior. There's good sized kids. We've grown leaps and bounds over the summer. We had, I guess that was 6 weeks there together. I'm excited about the growth that they've done. They're like, they're balls of play because like every day they're like molding them and they're soaking all the information they can in, which has been really cool. That's not the case everywhere. Sometimes it's like you hit walls and kids can only handle so much of these guys get sponges. There's still a lot to learn and a long way to go, but I'm excited about what we've done this summer.
That's great. Like I said, nobody wants to get offensive line. For me personally, I think they should get all of them.
I appreciate it.
I mean, without them, what happened?
Yeah.
You're going to end up on your back and not running. I appreciate y'all coming in. Thank you.
And Coach, either one of y'all can answer this question. So, what do y'all think? Who is the biggest position group this summer? Who took the biggest step entering fall camp? What position group made the biggest jump from, I guess, the winter time now to going to fall camp?
My group, I'll take. I love O-line. So O-line, as you know, from a knowledge standpoint, I'll say from a knowledge standpoint, day one to where we've gotten to week 6. I guess last week was week 6. Week 6 of summer from day one, from a knowledge standpoint, the amount of material they've been able to learn and then translate to the field of practice has been huge. And that's really all I have my hands on as offensive line. But almost starting from 0 to where we are week 6 in the summer has been a lot. And I can maybe Jared can bounce for his guys on defense, but I think offensively it's got to be guys up front.
So I agree completely. And just from the intensity in practice, the same way. Those guys really get after us, and it's one of those where it's back and forth. One day it feels like defense, wins, and next day the offense wins, and it's usually a battle in the trenches. And so I know all these guys are, aching to get the pads on Wednesday. So it'll be a lot of fun though. It's really competitive environment that makes those guys a lot better. That's kind of what I feel like we've thrived on the past few years is being able to put, a really good, 4A, 5A offense on the field versus a really good 4A, 5A defense in practice. And that's instrumental to us being where we are in the past, and that's the thing and where we're headed.
So I'm going to ask you about this question. So this Andalusia team, I guess, kind of rat poison to an extent. But the Andalusia team's kind of been overlooked this offseason. A lot of people have seen you are young. Some guys have said you're undersized. Some people, Wayne, didn't put him in the top 10 in the poll. I don't know who that was.
Not sure either.
But anyway, so asking about this question, what's one, I guess, storyline or what's one thing that y'all think should not be overlooked by this Andalusia football team?
And I think just like the year in, year out, like just how tested these guys are and what the expectations are. There's not a situation or a game that we go into that we don't expect to win. These guys know that, but they handle those environments well. This isn't something that's new for us. Coach Taylor, man, he is so good at getting these guys ready mentally to play the game. He's never too high, never too low. Always just consistent, day in, day out. Loves them, corrects them. He's, and mentors us the same way. Today's kind of our last day off before we're going to, hopefully look up in December and finish up. And, he's with his grandkids today. Kind of one last hurrah, I'm sure.
Yep.
You'll get to see them on the weekends. But, I think that's one thing that in today's game, everybody wants new, fresh, whatever. But the consistency of a coach like Coach Taylor coming in and out, and the way he adjusts and changes and goes for the years and still demands and gets his teams to compete at a high level, like you don't replace that. That's not hype. That's not what's new, hot, look shiny. That's just consistency. And it's like he said before the guys left, it's relentless effort, and that's the only way that we can do it.
Yep.
And he's always gotten that out of his teams, and I have no doubt he'll do it again.
And y'all been here both, a decade. I mean, I guess you have 1 year up on Coach Wyndham. But I was asking all this question here to kind of start wrapping these things up. What makes Andalusia so special, not just on a Friday night perspective, but what makes Andalusia so special just to go to school there?
I think from a lot of schools probably say this, but from I think K through 12, especially once they get to high school, there's such a tradition of school spirit, I guess is a better way to put it. But kids graduate from Andalusia, and then you have the coolest thing to me every year is the homecoming in Andalusia, because they come back, like people come back from rows, from out of town, from out of state. That I think like these guys are graduating, and then in 10 years when they do the reunion, they're for sure coming back. Like, people make plans, they take off work to come back to do this and make it on their calendar, mark it down to come back. That was one of the more noticeable things. When I came to Andalusia, that was one of the more noticeable things. Other schools have homecoming, but I think the tradition and the school pride and the spirit that they have there after they leave makes it a really cool place. Kids take pride in it. They enjoy being there.
Coach Wins, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm the same way, man. I'm not from here. I'm from North Alabama, so up around Gunnersville and Fort Payne area. And you grow up and you want to coach, play ball, that sort of thing, and you want to raise your kids in a spot like this one day. And I think that's what's so special about it to me was when me and my wife were looking in the area. There's options, different places, but it's just this felt like home, and it felt like all the right things that we wanted to raise a family in. And seeing my kids come up through ball right now, even just the expectations they have at a young age to compete and win at all levels, that's something I think is really unique. I think this is an area that's kind of protected. You've got to make a commitment to be here. It's hard for us to get coaches here, and we've got. I think we're going to go into the year with 2 supplements open that and we weren't able to fill, or maybe 3 supplements. I think the year we won it, we had somewhere around 12 guys on the varsity staff and 4 on the JV staff. And so we're down actually 3 supplements. But if people are going to move here, they got to make a commitment to be here. We don't have somewhere that's really close enough for them to drive. And so it's one of those areas, man, that's I feel like gets overlooked. My dad comes down. He watched a lot of ball for a lot of years, Parents having to sit there on edge, wondering if it's their kid that's messing something up, And it feels like old times a little bit, where it's a good community, man. They really support us. They have high expectations, and we wouldn't have it any other way. They give us the best. They expect the best, and we try to work like that.
Right. I'm gonna tell you one thing: you rarely have places like Andalusia. I remember being in high school when I graduated. I was in Andalusia games almost every single Friday night because it was one of the best atmospheres to be in. A great place. Pride and tradition. You don't got to worry about the modern day transfer portal per se, with kids leaving and coming in. But last question for you guys to wrap it up. One message each, I guess. What's one message to the Andalusia fan base that's watching, that will watch, that if you want to tell these guys about 2026 season?
Man, I just think probably overall, like, it's a tough question, but
Yeah.
I think overall just like how hard these guys work, and I think it's one of those things, man, that the expectations are always so high, and I've said it 3 times now, and we want it that way, and we love that. But these guys do work that hard, and so when things are going on Friday night, man, maybe you hear us getting on to them. Like, I don't ever want people to think it's from a lack of effort on these guys' part, because they put a lot of pressure on themselves in there. And that's one thing with this group, though, that I'm really excited about. It's just they compete, man. They play really hard, and I think they represent the community the right way. Kind of how the community's built, man. I think you got a bunch of people that win here, they're winners. They kind of have that in them. And these guys are no different. They want to win. They want to compete. And, we'll get outsized. I think Coach Wyndham, spoke on the non-region, how tough it is. Really, really hard on our guys. And probably one of the reasons that we do get so banged up is because our kids aren't going to back down from it, We'll get tougher as the year goes on. We'll get stronger as the year goes on. Stay with us early. There's going to be some hiccups here and there along the way. But we'll be where we're supposed to be in the end.
What about you, Coach Wyndham?
Well, we kind of echo what Jared said a while ago. Like, talent year in and year out may change. But one thing that's been consistent here, with Taylor especially, and with Jared being here for as long as he has, the expectation is always the same. It doesn't matter what the talent is. Those things are going to change. The talent's going to change year in and year out. Not always have the top end talent that you have some years, but the standard is always the same. And that's the coolest part with Taylor, that he's so consistent. And he's got coaches on staff now that are pulling the wagon just like he is. And echoing the same stuff, and the kids are echoing the same stuff, and they're hearing it now through character ed, and they're seeing, from their 9th grade year on, like the same things being done, the same expectation. We talk about mentioning championships as an expectation because it's been done, so we can speak it into this is a place where it has never been done, and we're just throwing that target on the wall. But so we talk about championship after championship, what it takes to be a championship people, all that kind of stuff. So I think tell the fans that talent's going to come and go. It's going to be up and down, but just know that our expectation, the standard that and the coaching staff that the rope that we're holding is not going to change.
And coaches, we appreciate you guys being here, Coach Williams and Coach Wyndham. Thank you for taking time on your Sunday afternoon to be with us and talk about Andalusia. Before y'all log off, y'all stay tuned. Red Level Football will be following us up here in about 5-ish minutes. So y'all stay tuned. But again, this was the Andalusia Bulldogs on the Covington County Media Day here at Powerhouse Sports.
And the Milton Eagles are state champions for the 2nd time in program history.
Goal to go. They carry him into the end zone with A.J. Green. Because time has expired and Clay Chalkville has won the 6A state championship. Here's McGuire. And a big high hop. And it's recovered by Thompson.
And we are back live on Powerhouse Sports here at 2026 Covington County Media Days. We have new Red Level head football coach Griffin Wyndham on with us today. Coach, we talked to you already on Powerhouse Sports, kind of about Red Level, the expectations, your culture you want to instill. But for all the guys watching that may not know and the people that will watch, kind of let us know your journey to become the Red Level head football coach. And,
Yeah. I would say I got lucky really in my coaching experience. I played for Trent Taylor. Graduated from Straughn, then from Huntington, played at Huntington College for Mike Turk. Then when I started coaching, I worked for Trent, Taylor, Brent Hill, Mike DeBose, Ben Blackman, the Enterprise, and then Matt Malone, Carroll. And so the thing that all those guys have in common is they've won championships. And so by being a part of those experiences and those programs, and I saw how I wanted to do it once I got a chance. And what I tell our kids is that we try to run a 7A program at a 1A level. That our motto is that the standard doesn't change. That's kind of what our stuff, when it says the standard that we talk about, that we want to be the standard in playing field. So we brought in a guy from the Auburn University to redo our grass fields to make sure that they're the
most competitive, safest, best playing fields in 1A, and then hopefully all classifications. All of our kids are fitted in brand new F7s because we wanted to make sure that safety, we were the standard of safety, that we were going to put kids in helmets. We built a brand new weight room so we can make sure that we held the standard in the weight facility. So everything we did is stuff that I stole from Ben Blackman or Mike DeBose or Brent Hill or Trent Taylor, guys that I was fortunate enough to work for. And then it just got to be that this was my opportunity to kind of copy it and put my spin on it.
And Coach, I'm gonna throw it to Wayne here for this question.
Yes.
So you came in. I yield. You came into this season, obviously. I mean, you got to talk behind the scenes about some things, but last year was kind of a challenge for Red Level. Kind of the numbers are down a little bit, but I got to see you guys. Kind of your team. You have some big kids. So I think some underrated kids. You have a lot of numbers this year, especially from that 1A level. But kind of talk about some of those guys that people may not know, and some of the guys who really worked their butt off this summer that could be a big factor for you.
Absolutely. Right now, they ended the season, Red Level ended the season with 13 players in the roster. Right now, we're looking to dressing out 42-0. And that's just a testament to the culture change we've tried to provide at Red Level, that our moniker has been Restore the Roar. And it's a really big emphasis on restore. It's not rebuild the roar, it's restore. I think when you talk about rebuilding, you talk about bringing in new stuff, and you talk about pulling out the old stuff. Well, that's not what we wanted to do. There is a culture at Red Level, and there is a standard of excellence, and we didn't want to take out what was already there. What we wanted to do was renew it and restore it. So we came in with a new weight plan, all this kind of stuff. Today I brought with me a senior linebacker. His name is White Simmons, who's been a 3-year starter for us through the bad times, the good times. White's been with us. A new, we'll call him a quarterback, Lamarion Crittenson, who has been the starting point guard for the basketball team the past 3 years. He's an extremely big pickup for us. And it was recruiting the hallways, man. I think that's something that we probably had lacked on in the past at Red Level. But when I got to Red Level and I started walking in the hallways, and I was going, well, what position does he play? No, he don't play football.
Yeah.
He's a basketball player. He's a baseball player. Well, he runs. And so what we did is when people talk about Red Level traditionally, you kind of get a snark, and they talk about all the bad things that happen. But what people don't want to mention is that without Red Level, there's a lot of programs in this area that wouldn't have the success they've had. And we'll call it what we call it, that the scariest thing that could happen to Covington County is letting kids stay in Red Level. And that's something that may not be an unpopular opinion, but when we can control our talent, what I told them is, again, it's not a rebuild, it's a repair. We're trying to keep Red Level kids in Red Level. And when Red Level kids are in Red Level, historically, we're as competitive as anybody in the region.
And Coach, before touching that subject, the good thing about going live is you have some people out here that can do things for you. Can one now grab that helmet for me real quick? Is it okay if I show these helmets? What you've done these days?
Yeah. Did that last night, actually.
So, Coach, let me show you this right here. Well, actually, you put it right here. Actually, camera's over there.
He just wanted to touch.
Yes.
I did want to touch. We showed them to him; they weren't done yet, so I want to be able to see them. But Coach Wyndham, he mentioned the F7s before team getting these. You see the new script tigers across here, but Coach, kind of talk about what led to you kind of changing up the helmet design and also the uniforms as well.
Well, it's the world we live in, man. As bad as we don't want to admit it, we're old school, and we're tough, and we're fire, and we're nails, that kind of stuff. This is what excites the kids. And we made a commitment to putting our kids in the best equipment and the best uniforms possible. So, I'm lucky I have a phenomenal booster club, man. I have some of them are here today. And I'm fortunate if they haven't told me no. And so I had a couple things and a couple things that I wanted to match: weight room, I wanted new uniforms, I wanted new helmets, I wanted all this kind of stuff. And they said, get the paperwork. And they never batted an eye. When I talked about money, they said, how much do you need? And so it's been an extremely easy process, and I'm thankful, especially for my first year as a head coach. But it was kind of it's an homage to the past. They had used the script tigers. We've gone back to using the script tigers, as you can see on our stuff. And because, like I said, it's not a rebuild, it's a restore. That we're trying to take what was already there, take the foundation that was built in the 80s and the 90s, and we're trying to put a new age spin on it.
And Wayne, before it's gonna be one more question. So, Coach Wyndham, I'm kind of just gonna rebound what you just kind of said earlier. The direction of high school football has taken a turn to where some people don't enjoy it. Some people are not excited about it. The transfer portal, it's bad you got to say it. The transfer portal has been wide open in high school football. So if you want to comment on it, you can. If not, you can just kind of tell us plead the fifth.
I mean,
But it's kind of talk about how you think the state can kind of, let's talk about how it kind of affects smaller schools like you guys about, this the portal, I guess, and then how you think the state can actually manage that to where it don't happen as much.
yeah, absolutely. The most dangerous thing is Griffin winning with a live mic, because I'm not gonna hold it back. That like I said, the scariest thing in Covington County is red level kids staying in red level. When you look at around the teams in the area, when you look at their programs, they're littered with kids who went to 5th grade in red level. They went to 8th grade in red level. They made it primarily a couple years in high school in red level. For whatever reason, they left, and everybody's situation is different. And ultimately, we want what's best for the kids. And so, as a coach, my job was to provide that environment where there was not a better environment. I think it's asinine to tell kids that you can't go to a better situation. As adults, we look for better employment opportunities. We want to make more money. We try to climb the ladder, and you'll get a lot of high school coaches that sit up here and say, that's not what we should be doing. That's not what should happen. We should shut it down. But then behind the doors, then they're fishing, man. And so I've said it before, and I'll say it again, and I'll scream it from the loudest mountain. The scariest thing and the worst thing that can happen to teams in the area is that red level kids stay in red level.
I tried to wear my Restore the Roar shirt today. Wayne told me I couldn't be biased to certain schools.
I told him he could.
Yeah, so I told him I said, look, Coach had one request that was Restore the Roar, but it is what it is.
I don't have.
Oh, hey, we can make it happen. We can make it happen.
But Wayne, over to you.
No, real simple question. Why red level? What's the opportunity for you?
Well, so I coached at Enterprise. I was with Coach Blackman at Enterprise.
So all day.
Yeah, I appreciate it. And so
He's coming on.
yeah, well, I worked with a phenomenal staff, man. Between him and John Turner and the Stonikers, that whole staff was phenomenal. I've never been a part of anything like it. But I have 3 children. I have 3 small children. I'm originally from Straughn. My wife works at Covington Electric in Andalusia. And the short story is that I was a wrestling coach at Enterprise, and I missed a winter dance for my daughter. And my daughter called me and said, I was in Orlando, Florida. She said, Daddy, why aren't you there tonight? I said, Daddy's going to work. And so like kids do, then she said, well, how come nobody else is ready to work? And so I told my wife at that point, whatever I had to do to get closer to home, I was going to do. And God opened doors. I'm a Covington County product, born and raised in Covington County. And so the opportunity showed up for me to live 12 minutes from my house and do something that I dreamed of doing.
That's outstanding. What is your, obviously the community is buying in.
Oh, it helps.
Yeah, that's great. What culture are you walking
Yeah, we want to be a reflection of what our community is. Our community is the most blue-collar, hard-nosed people you've ever been around. They're a bunch of farmers, a bunch of oil hands, construction. That's where they make their living. And I think it's really, really important for our football team to emulate what they do in their day-to-day lives on a football field. So when people see red level, and I see the football team, I want them to talk about how hard we play, how disciplined we play. We don't have a superstar. We don't have a kid on our roster that has a Division I offer. But what we do is we have 40 kids that are working seamlessly together to try to be a representation of the community. And so that's what I want to put out is, we hope to be a reflection of the community.
Right. Well, when someone comes and watches red level, what do you want them to take away?
Just that we're doing things the right way. I think a lot of things get lost in this new age of football. And again, I'm 32, talking about the old days. But my first hire was David Saunders, and he, if you don't know who David Saunders is, he was the receivers coach for Philip Palmer at Tennessee, was the defensive back coach for Houston Nutt at Ole Miss, coached at Auburn. He's coached at Louisiana Lafayette. I think he has over 30 years of experience in the Division I level. Has 3 national championships. But what I told him was, when I wanted people to see us, I want to bring back the days of Bear Bryant. I want the Junction Boys. I want it to be tough, because I think those kind of practices, those kind of programs build into tough young men. And when they come see us, I hope they don't we'll have some flash and we'll have some glamour. We'll have some things to make it a show. But what I want them to see is the pure form of high school football.
Absolutely.
Where you have guys that may not be college material. They may not be in the NFL, but they're guys that have bought into the community and they're playing football the way high school football is intended to play.
Hard hat lunch.
That's it, right? That's us.
Go.
That's us.
And Coach, I mean, me and you know each other for a long time back to when you were at Ox. But kind of let's talk about some of your coaching staff. And you talk about one of them.
Yeah.
But kind of talk about your coaches, some of the coaches we may not know, and how important it is to have a good staff around you.
Yeah, so that was an important thing, and I've talked about it before. The most important thing for me was to surround my guys with good people. I think a lot of times in the world we get caught up in making excuses for why things freaking make it work. I don't believe in a gray area. There's a right and a wrong way. So I went out and I tried to find guys that were good people. I found David Saunders. I was really, really fortunate, for that hire. He's been a lightning rod of energy in our facility, in our community. Again, 30-plus years in Division I football, 3 national championships. Our running back coach is Tyler Ingram, who was a walk-on fullback for Auburn University. Our offensive line coach is Randall Hunt, who was a 5-year starter for University of West Alabama. So we have collegiate experience scattered throughout our staff. We have multiple championships throughout any level of football, but we also have guys like Tracy Nichols, who on a resume you would say you probably don't know who he is. Tracy Nichols has been coaching football for 3 years and has 3 regional championships. He coached under Ashley Kilcrease at Straughn, and then he was with Coach Brian Bradford at McKenzie. So he has been around good football done the right way. Guys like D. Scott, who's our linebackers coach, is a lifelong resident of Red Level. And so Red Level just means a little bit more to him than if you bring somebody off the streets and just had a new baby. And so it's important for him for us to fix the culture and fix the standard because he's about to start a family that's going to be living and working in Red Level also.
So, Coach, new year, new teams in your region. You have a tough schedule ahead of you. I mean, you kind of talked about it. But kind of talk about some of these games that y'all kind of circled. I know it might be one game at a time, but some of these games that might be circled to be like, you know what, these are some games that, we should win, we need to win, or some games that you can say, hey, at this game, our team, should be ready for the season. It might be a growing team or a growing game for them.
Yeah, well, I think we circled 10 games right now, and that's the 10 that's in the regular season. The most important game right now is Pleasant Hall, and that's because that's what we play week 1. I'm not sure what happens after that, but I know we need to win week 1. That'll be something that's emphasis on us because it's the first game of the year. We're not playing in week 0. And so we have to focus on that. That's where our focus has to be. After that, I think we go to Calhoun. Our first home game will be at Maysville. And I feel like sometimes I'm trying to be trapped, not by you, Andrew, but into talking about Maysville. But this is what I've told our guys. What an opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely.
What an opportunity. If you have goals that you want to be a Division I football player, if you want to be a college football player, if you want your name in the newspaper, if you want your name in the Dothan League or the Montgomery Advertiser or the Birmingham News.
Powerhouse Sports.
Yeah, Powerhouse Sports, even better. What an opportunity. Because the thing, and I've told our guys, it's not David and Goliath, right? You can't call it David versus Goliath. Because what happened was when they talked about Goliath had never been defeated ever. It had never happened. In the history of the world, Goliath had never been defeated. I think if we look at Maple, they have lost the game before.
Yep.
Yeah. So to say that it can't happen means it won't ever happen. But, we got to focus on one thing at a time. We're not going to call it David and Goliath. We're going to prepare for our week 1 just like we will prepare for our week 10.
And, Coach, let me ask you some fun questions real quick. And kind of, you're starting to sweat on me a little bit.
Always.
I'm going to make sure. But you don't pay attention to that. We kind of just tell us. Yeah. But if you were not a coach, what would your profession be?
That's tough. I have no skills.
She looks nervous.
Yeah, that's my wife.
She's played on the night show, but she's
I have
nervous than you are.
So in the 3rd grade, I wrote that in Miss Everidge's class, I wrote that I wanted to be a football coach when I grew up. Nice. And since 3rd grade, I've kind of put all my eggs in one basket. I love music. Music is something I'm passionate about. I'm not talented. I just enjoy it. So maybe an agent or something like that. I have a business degree, so use my business background. I like marketing. I think that's one of my better strong suits is marketing. So it'd probably be somewhere in the business field with me.
Probably if you're a college coach, you'd definitely be a recruiter. But you have to be good at that.
I couldn't be special teams coach. I'll keep the coverage.
There you go.
Well, Coach, since your wife's here, I'm gonna kind of just ask you for a second, in a little soapbox for a second, give some brownie points. But how important is it to have a good woman in your corner? Because I'm not a coach, and I say this all the time. To have my wife come with me to places that I know she does not want to be at all. How important is it to have a wife that supports you in what you do, especially in the season where you're rarely at home?
Yeah. Well, I'll tell a story, and a lot of my stuff goes back to Coach Mike Dubose and I. And me and Beth Ann had just gotten married, and I was talking to him about new marriage struggles we may or may not have had. And what he told me was, he said, Griffin, look, there's two types of coaches' wives. There's good ones and there's extras.
Exactly.
And she's a great one. Without her, she is the motor that keeps our family going. She says she takes care of 4 children so that I can take care of 50 children. And so I'll tell myself a little bit. She picks out the clothes. She lays everything out in the morning. She really is the engine that keeps everything going so that I can go and do my job. Like, I'm going to leave here and I got 3 hours of laundry. So
Better you than me.
And it's football laundry, so she'll go home and she'll take care of the kids, and they'll bring me some supper. And if I need to go to school at 10 o'clock, and she says, be safe. There's never any questions or, this is holding us back or anything like that. Because she, without her, it wouldn't be possible.
I love it, Coach. And before I throw to Mr. Wayne again, so some players, obviously, we talked about a couple of them, but you have a good team. And you have some guys that obviously probably didn't play last year, some guys that really developed for you this fall or this summer heading into the fall camp. But what position group has really had the most growth from the time you became a head coach to now entering fall camp?
I would say it's our offensive line. And it's not necessarily that it's anybody new, but there's a lot of difference in a 14-year-old and a 16-year-old. And so Wyatt, who plays right guard for us also, went from being one of our bigger offensive linemen at 220 pounds to now he's the smallest. So our offensive line averages around 250. We got one that's 6'4", 300 pounds, every measurable you want. But just having their bodies and be able to weight train them and get them in the weight room. And to me, that's where you build your offensive line, is in the weight room and the stuff that's hard. That we started fall camp this week, actually. And to see those guys, even Coach Steiner saying, right now, our offensive line is what's moving our team. So when you have a really good offensive line, everything else tends to fall in place. It's really hard to have a really good offensive line and a not very good quarterback. That the offensive line usually makes everybody look good around them. So I give out props to the offensive line and the work they've been putting in.
And I think it's crazy, Wayne. We had a guy up there early, though, just like him, that said offensive line. Everybody see brothers or something.
I think so. Yeah. So that's my older brother for anybody that knows. We're not gonna say bigger, we'll say old.
Oh,
yeah.
There you go. Well, at least y'all got the smart, offensive line.
That's
Where's
right.
that?
That's it, man. That's it.
That's where my boys played. That's
Yeah.
where I played.
That's it.
If you had one player, I know you want to pick out one player, but if you got one player that you think is going to hopefully have a breakout year,
Yeah, and I'll talk about a kid who we pulled from the basketball team. There's actually 2 that jump off my mind right now. Aaron Malloy and Braden Walker. They're both kids that were basketball kids. I'm using that term lightly, but hadn't played football. And Aaron is 6'3", 190 pounds. He'll carry the ball some for us, and he plays a little bit of stand-up outside linebacker. But having his body and his range, he plays well in space. And wanting football, that's a big deal, just having his body. And then Braden Walker is a kid who probably had been playing the wrong sport for a while. He was a defensive specialist in basketball. He would run through a wall if you asked him to, and they didn't have any pads on, and he hustled, man, for 4 quarters. And so finally, when I took the job, I said, well, why don't you play football? If you're playing football, you're just calling it basketball. Right. And so he's been phenomenal. He's going to play some running back for us. And he came up actually Thursday and said, Coach, this doesn't hurt near as much as basketball. I said, well, that's because you got pads on. He's playing the same way he plays basketball. Now we're just able to protect him a little bit more. So those are 2 guys that we pulled off of another sports team that I think are really making an impact on who we want to be.
That's great. And thank you again for your time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Your wife, y'all have blessed.
Absolutely. Appreciate you having us.
And coach, obviously wins and losses are important this day and age. I mean, coaches get fired for these days losing 3 or 4 games. But outside of wins and losses, what does a successful Red Level football season look like for you?
We talk about all the time finishing. That's kind of been the black cloud that's loomed over the program for the past several years is the amount of people that have been in the program, been out of the program. What we're training our guys to do right now is be resilient, not just in football, but in life. And the easiest thing in the world is to quit when it gets hard. That we're trying to build young men, football players that when it gets hard, we look for the answers instead of a way out. And so that's the more important thing for us is developing young men who will take pride in their schoolwork, take pride in their community, be leaders in their churches. And I believe wholeheartedly that winning is a byproduct.
Yep.
I think if you do enough small things right, that winning takes care of itself. And we've done a phenomenal job for this 8-week summer that we've been a part of.
And coach, last question to wrap it up. Your message to the Red Level community, what do you want to say to them as you'll enter fall camp and also into the 2026 football season?
Show up and support. Last night we did decals with dads. We had 72 men come be around our guys, help them set up these helmets, fed them hamburgers, hung out, talked about old times and all the things that go with that. But that's been the main focus of building the community. Last night was really a boost to my energy and excited me. Like I said, 72 guys showed up last night, and that's alumni, guys in the community, dads of our players, just guys around that came. And anytime you can hang out and have a common goal, that's big. So we've started a Gridiron Moms group, and they make sandwiches every Sunday. And so our boys are as nourished as any team I've ever been around. They have ample access to protein shakes and peanut butter jelly sandwiches, ham sandwiches, just anything they could ever want at their hand. But all that has to do with the buy-in and the community being willing to do that.
You said this helmet's mine to take home, right? What you said?
I thought
For a cost.
Yeah, for a cost.
It could be bought. But we'll start the auction at $400.
Yeah, Wayne, I think that's all you. That's all you. That's all you. Because we appreciate you spending time with us. Your wife being here as well on this Sunday afternoon. I know you're busy. I know you don't really have much free time left for the season starts, but appreciate you joining us for Covington County Media Days.
Appreciate you having us.
When we come back, y'all don't go away. The Pleasant Home Eagles will be joining us right after this. You don't go away in about 5 minutes. We'll have Pleasant Home join us to continue the 2026 Covington County Media Days.
And the Milton Eagles are state champions for the second time in program history.
Goal to go. They carry him into the end zone with A.J. Green. Because time has expired and Clay Chalkville has won the 6A state championship. Here's McGuire. And a big high hop. And it's recovered by Thompson.
unmute.
Mm-hmm.
You want me to do it?
And we are back live for the 2026 Covington County Media Days. We are joined by the Pleasant Home Eagles, and most people, Coach, it's hard to believe, but some people don't know where Pleasant Home is. So when we get right back, we'll be joining the Pleasant Home Eagles and Coach Smith, and we're going to talk all things Pleasant Home football and their expectations and their players heading into the 2026 football season. And we are back with the Pleasant Home Eagles. And Coach Smith, I'll start with you. Kind of introduce the coach you brought along with you and explain your journey into becoming the head coach at Pleasant Home.
Glad to be here today. This is Coach Hamilton. He's our offense coordinator this year. Journey to Pleasant Home football. Let's see. I started out kind of volunteer coaching some in Andalusia at the middle school level, and then I moved up to Straughn, helped up that way. And then a couple years ago, Mr. Driver, the superintendent of the Covington County Schools, called me. They was looking for a coach down at Pleasant Home. Spoke with him, and everything worked out. So last year was my first year as head coach down at Pleasant Home.
So do you are you like teaching, coaching full time?
No, sir, I don't. I'm just a contracted coach. Actual first career was I owned the ambulance service, a paramedic for about 30 some odd years, and I've kind of ventured over into coaching. I've always enjoyed it, done a lot of it in the past, just as a volunteer and helping out. This is how I've ended up where I'm at.
That's awesome. A lot of coaches these days, I mean, you got to ask, because some coaches do coaching. It's like, I don't even call it part-time, but they have a full-time gig on top of it. And that's why, you just got to ask sometimes. But Coach, I'm going to ask you as well, talk about your journey to become the head, Pleasant Home offense coordinator.
So went to Pleasant Home, played there, graduated, came back in college to help out a couple years. Just kind of rolled with that a little bit over 5-6 years or so. Then we had my son, so I took a year or so off, and came back actually to visit, ran into Coach Smith, and kind of put me in the headlock, and we've been rolling since last year, so this will be year 2. And now we're just kind of rolling.
So you're a Pleasant Home guy. Boy, you graduated from there. You born there too, or not born there, but you raised there?
Well, yeah, I moved to Pleasant Home in 6th grade.
Okay. So I want to ask you, because like I said, I'm around this area a lot, and I'm neglected Pleasant Home to an extent, but I will come by and see you guys once we get some time in the fall camp. But kind of talk about Pleasant Home. What makes Pleasant Home so special? I know it's kind of like hidden away. I've seen his baseball program, your softball program. But kind of talk about football. What makes Pleasant Home so special and neat on like a Friday night or even just going to school there?
Well, I think it's a tight community. So everybody knows everybody. Parents, everybody's kids. No matter, whoever, they catch you out there, they take care of you. So I think that's one of the biggest things. Getting success, seeing it with all the program, baseball's had success, even basketball. It's just now it seems like it's time for football to come back in that fold too.
Sweet. And Coach, 2026, last year Pleasant Home went 2-8. That's a tough region. What's kind of been y'all's message to the team heading into fall camp, and what is y'all's expectations for the 2026 season?
We really have high expectations this year. We have a lot of kids that are returning starters, and also we have a lot of young men that come out this year to play football. Mm-hmm. So we're actually looking to build on what we started last year. Yeah, somebody said 2-8, but we're very competitive game. I'll probably let a couple slip away that we should have won at the end of the season and won at the beginning of the season. Expectations, we're seriously thinking that we can make a run to get to the playoffs this year. Like I said, we've got a lot of kids that come out in the spring this year to come down. They've stayed with us during the summer workouts. They come out this fall, so we're really looking forward to seeing if we can't continue to build on what we started last year.
And you mentioned this is your first year, correct?
My second.
Second year. So what's been your biggest emphasis? Because obviously, coaches that come in and create their own culture, create their own expectations. But what has been your emphasis as far as like, what have you been trying to change most with the program when you took the head role last year?
Trying to change a positive attitude, getting into a winning mindset. The team's struggled some over the years, and it's more along just bringing a positive attitude to the actual team and help these young men build as we go.
Mr. Wayne, I'm gonna throw it over to you.
Thank you again for having us here. So second year here, what one position did you say has made the most strides practice this year?
The most strides at practice, I'm going to say our wide receiver group, our defensive backs. They've come a long ways over during the off season and even into the early part of the fall this year. We've had a lot of new kids come out into that position, so that will be probably my group that stands out the most of the strides we made to get up.
What would define a good season for you guys?
I always tell everybody on our board down there, we got all 10 games listed for the first week of playoffs, second all the way out to the state championship.
Right,
We just want to continue to build on what we build, show a positive and growth throughout the community. Throughout these players and the team and everything, just to make it continue to grow.
Right, that's outstanding. And coach, and for you being a lifelong resident, I guess, of what is something people don't know about the community? What would they get away from coming watching you guys on Friday?
I think, like you said, you're here to an 8, and generally you think about it as not very competitive brand of ball. But I think, from last year, we definitely building on that foundation. I think if anybody comes out to a game this year, one thing you definitely say is, these kids have heart and they're going to be competitive in every ball game for sure.
And coach, you have a lot of your players here with you, or a few of them. They went out there and did a little interview with Skip. But who are some of the players the state of Alabama might not know yet that will know by the end of 2026?
I hope all of them.
Yep.
Of course, we got Jacob Bryan. He's returning to the 3 or 4 year starter as running back in that position. We got some offensive linemen that's going to, I think, really stand out this year that can help us win a lot of games. Like I said, I hope at the end of this year they say, boy, that Pleasant Home team has turned around, and a lot of these kids are named and recognized throughout the state.
And then, coach, the offensive side of the ball, who are some guys, on offense that have really grown up this, obviously, maybe some guys that didn't play last year. Who's some guys that have grown in the camp this year?
I think for sure the offensive line. I think a lot of those guys have been there, but we're asking them to do a lot this year, and they seem like they've been up to the task for it. Obviously, like you said, Jacob Bryan is a 30-year starter for us. And, it feels like, but he's a great player. I think we're gonna have a few kids that are surprised that maybe either weren't here last year or didn't get that role that they'll have this year. I think a lot of them will step up for that challenge. So.
And then, coach, y'all's region, it's a brutal region, for lack of a better word, but it's kind of, your schedule. There's a lot of non-region games on there. Obviously, some tough region games. Is there any game that you have circled as a coach to kind of say, hey, this game right here is really going to help our team grow, and this could be a turning point in our season if we can pull this game off?
I would say anything at the beginning of our season, especially, of course, start out with red level. That's always trying to win that. We get some more gun going. Then, of course, our next week, around the region play with Samson. So I would say that would be around the gate. We would say that's the most important game to get off to a good start in our region.
And coach, what has been some of the biggest challenges this summer that you've seen your team overcome? Whether it's kind of growing and maybe the offensive line, defensive line, maybe it's your quarterbacks. What's kind of the biggest challenge y'all have had in 2026?
Biggest challenge we've had actually in 2026 is replacing one of our starters. Last year was in a tragic accident. We've been quarterback for us, but our team has really bonded together, went forward. Weight room has been a real big thing this year to overcome. These kids didn't have a big weight program established, and luckily Coach Hamilton there is our strength and conditioning coach. So he's done a great job of that, getting our whole team to come along and start to get a lot stronger.
And then, in order for y'all to pull some games off on Friday nights, what is one thing that the Pleasant Home Eagles have to do to make sure they have to do this one thing to be able to win on Friday nights?
Play 4 quarters of football. People say that a lot of times, but when you at a 1A school and your guys have to play both plays, they've got to be able to play 4 quarters of football and be able to continue to go in the 4th quarter. So play 4 quarters of football.
And then Mr. Coach Reggie over here, he mentioned it. If you look at Pleasant Home, they kind of stereotype. They kind of look at Pleasant Home as not a competitive group. I mean, Pleasant Home's kind of up and down for a long time. But what is one thing that, media or fans or anybody looking in from the outside, what's one thing they should not overlook when it comes to this 2026 Pleasant Home team?
The competitive nature of these kids. Real and truly, these guys love it. They've been out there working hard. They're super competitive. They bought into the program that we're building down there. It's just been a really a great turnaround. I think Reggie agreed from the coaching staff we got. Our coaching staff has been there now together 2 years, so it's a bonding and a growing process for all of us.
And I'm gonna ask y'all both this question. So whether it's Red Level or Sampson or anybody that plays you guys, when y'all get done playing them on a Friday night, what is one thing you want their fan base to say, their players to say, their coaches to say when they get done playing the Pleasant Home Eagles on this Friday night?
That them boys can play football. That those boys are ready, they were competitive, and that they were definitely ready to play football.
What about you?
I would say everyone would say that those boys were, like you said, competitive, but definitely disciplined too. They knew how to play ball the right way.
In the community, I mean, a lot of successful football programs, they have, a great community. They have a great support system. Talk about y'all's community and how well they support the football program, not just on Friday nights, but also the off season when y'all out there, sweating, putting in the work. How do y'all's community support y'all?
We got a great support from our community, whether it's the parents or just the individuals in the community. They are very, very supportive of these young men, and that makes the biggest difference to us, I think, because the fans, the parents, everybody support these young men, trying to help them get better. They've seen the difference in last year from what we had brought in, and I think they're just supporting these kids to get better and better week by week.
And Coach, kind of some fun questions for you. So, was there a player on the team that may have the coach a little bit harder because on Friday nights he might be at least guaranteed one 15-yard personal penalty once a game?
Run it. Say that one more time.
Is there one player on the team that has guaranteed at least one 15-yard on sportsmanlike, maybe because they're running their mouth and doing something they shouldn't be on Friday night?
No, sir. I told them at the beginning of when I got down there, the only person gets a 15-yard penalty is me.
That's true. Like, some people now they'll put him out there and say this guy runs his mouth too much or he trash talks too much, whatever the case may be. But looking at your season, also talk about the region opponents. Have you already started your studying region opponents? If you have, what kind of goes into learning those new region opponents?
We have a lot of film breakdown, kind of looking at some of the tendencies they had last year. We got three new teams in our region, I think, this year. So, trying to get as much of them because Sampson being one of the first ones out of the gate. So we've got to get a lot of film on them, trying to understand what they've done last year. They still have the same coach over there, Coach Straughn, who does a great job with that program. And we're just trying to start breaking down individual tendencies and how some of these teams, offensively and defensive styles, are.
So I'm trying to read this thing. So obviously going to summer camp, I mean, it's hard. I mean, a lot of the kids in wintertime, they hate running, they hate workouts, they hate doing the little things. But what is one thing that's impressed you, not just in the summer, but wintertime, it could be heading to fall camp. What's one thing that's impressed you most about this team?
The willingness to work. We myself and Reggie been down there this summer with them. We have split times they can come in, some come morning, some come afternoon, but the kids are showing up, continue to work, try to get better, and work hard every day to try to make this program grow.
So obviously we got Mr. Reggie over here, your offense coordinator. But talk about some of your other guys on the coaching staff that really kind of make you look good on Friday nights.
Have Coach Ronnie Sampson. Coach Sampson's been down there for 3 or 4 years now. Coach Sampson's coached at several places, even up at Straughn some. Great asset to us. Then we have Coach David Hamby. Coach Hamby's been in there about 3 years with these kids, knew a lot of these kids growing up. And Coach Ben Clark, Ben did his first year with us down there. I'm looking forward to having Ben help us. So we got, just 5 of us on the staff, counting myself and Reggie and the other 3 coaches I mentioned, but these guys are dedicated to helping this team grow.
Mr. Wayne, I'm throw it over to you.
Yes, sir. First of all, I'll ask you a question. Let's name off the players you got up there. And they're going to do a little bit of interview, but who do we got?
On the very far out right, be number 5, that'd be Jacob Ryan. Then beside him, on number 50, we have Jacob Douglas. Then beside him, we have Andrew. What's your number, buddy? 13, Andrew Clark. And then number 68 is Charlie Steele. All these are 4 of my seniors that are on the team.
Outstanding. What is the biggest matchups that they've been talking about?
that they will be talking about.
There's one. Everybody has one.
First game. I'm going to just be honest.
So I need to ask Dan.
Sir?
You'll be to ask Dan then.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay.
It's been the first game. You know, they're looking forward to getting back out there and get started in the season. You know, they've had a long off season. We've done a lot in the off season to get prepared. And you know, we have almost another month before we kick off on Friday night. I think you know they're getting ready and antsy to go ahead and get it kicked
Get
off.
somebody else other
I think
than
if
yourself.
they would start next week, they would.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, good luck to you guys. Thank y'all for coming out. Thank you.
And Coach, to start wrapping this thing up, so y'all can both answer this, or Coach, you can answer yourself. But what does a successful Pleasant Home 2026 football season look like to you as coaches?
Making the playoffs. I really think this team's got potential to make it into the playoffs, and I think that's will be our main goal right now is to get in the playoff and see how deep we can possibly get.
Coach, what about you?
I'd say the same, but for sure, I think all these kids believe that they can make it. I think this coaching staff wouldn't be here if we didn't believe that we were going to build on last year. So I'd say that's right. Making the playoffs is the benchmark.
And then, Coach, and both of y'all can answer this question as well. So, what would be y'all's message to all the Pleasant Home supporters that are watching and will watch about the 2026 football season?
Come out and watch us. Come out and see the differences that we made in this last couple of years. Come out and watch these boys, support them, see the strides that they're taking to get this team better. That would be my main thing. Come out and support these young men. Come out and watch and see the differences it's going to be. Coach?
Same thing. Man. Come out and support. I mean, it means we're these players, it means we're the coaching staff, and you might be a little entertained.
And with the offense right here, Coach Reggie told us 30 points a game, maybe more.
34.
34. It was 34. I know, Coach, we appreciate y'all spending time your Sunday afternoon, you and your players. I know it's a busy time for y'all. You know, the family might not see y'all as much because football season's coming up. We really appreciate you guys spending your time with us to be able to talk and, expose, get some exposure to Pleasant Home. For everybody watching, y'all don't go anywhere. Is up next. I believe it's the Florala Wildcats walking in here. They will join us to talk about 2026 football season as we continue the 2026 Covington County Media Days here from Lost Pizza and
And the
Andalusia.
Milton Eagles are state champions for the second time in program history.
Goal to go. They carry him into the end zone with A.J. Green. Because time has expired and Clay Chalkville has won the 6A state championship. Here's McGuire. And a big high hop. And it's recovered by Thompson.
Equaling slides. But when you get on that slides, go up there. That's all.
Yeah, Straughn don't want to go into it because he actually invited a bunch of people. I'll watch y'all.
You do?
And we are back. Sorry. And we are back with the 2026 Covington County Media Days here with the Florala head football coach, Kyle Davis, as we talk about Florala, their expectations for 2026. We'll talk about a few players and also some fun other things here for Coach Davis. But y'all don't go away. Y'all like and share because the Florala Wildcats will be on right after this. And we are back with the Florala Wildcats. Coach Kyle Davis has joined us today here at Covington County Media Days. And, Coach, good to have you on. Thank you for spending time out of your Sunday afternoon and joining us to talk about Florala. And, Coach, before we get into the meat of everything, kind of, talk about your journey in becoming the head football coach at Florala High School.
First off, thanks for having us. I think it's a great thing that you guys are doing. And first year is always just like anything else. We don't really know what to expect, but it's a great thing to have. Being in Florala, it's been my third year. Being head coach at Florala, been my 27th year coaching altogether. I've had a few stops to get here. Originally, I'm from Alexandria, Alabama. Grew up there. Played for Coach Ginn, Hall of Famer. Great opportunity, great thing, and then just got in the coaching business. Traveled a few places, been to Escambia County High, Geraldine, West End High School, and DAR, all as head coach. So about 17 years of head coach experience. And then assistant, County just talked about an assistant in Central Mill. So just travel all over, man. Love football and just kind of go with the opportunity.
For everybody watching, y'all like and share. Make sure y'all comment and let everybody know that Florala's on the show. This will be reposted later on Can't Skip This, and we'll have it posted as well in case there are technical issues on our end. But, Coach, you opened the season, I believe it's with Georgiana, right?
Right.
Yeah, Georgiana. You go on the road to Geneva. You go on the road at Brantley. Always a tough place to play with Coach Lowry and the crew. You're back home against Barber County. You go to Sampson at Pleasant Home. You host Elba, then you're on the road at Red Level for your last game of the year. And talking about your schedule, I mean, it's kind of a new region for y'all. The schedule here, some tough non-region games. Talk about your schedule. And is there any games on there that y'all kind of circle, maybe privately, to kind of say, hey, this game right here could be a turning point in our year if we can pull it off?
Well, I think that, like the first thing you said, the region's a little bit different, right? Yep. I mean, Red Level goes out, McKenzie goes out, Georgiana goes out. They've kind of been a staple for the last few years in Region 2. And so we get Sampson, who has been, they moved up to 2A, but when they were in 1A, I think they were in the regions by the time I got there. And then Barber County and Abbeville, obviously, we don't know much about them. Yep. So it's going to be kind of exciting, I think, with some new people in there. But, obviously you talk about, games that you just got to really compete in to be in the playoffs. Obviously Brantley, obviously Elba, those two are probably the cock of the walk as far as who you got to beat, right? Because they're probably favored in what goes on. And then, like I said, after that, man, it's always fun to play county teams like Pleasant Home and Red Level. I mean, I was glad that Coach Wyndham and I were able to get that Red Level game on the schedule because, like I said, they weren't in the region. It's good for us. I think it's good for Covington County. So, I mean, our biggest thing this year, and just talking to the guys, last year we came out so slow. We started out 0-4, and I don't think it was really indicative of who we were, but we just had so many kids that even though they may have played some the year before, their role had really grown last year, and they were kind of in some position I think they weren't ready for as the season started, so we came out real slow. And so, this year we're really trying to hopefully carry, our summer preparation into game one because we know Georgiana's going to be good. They're always athletic, they're always talented, always physical. Coach Best does
fantastic
Yep.
job. But coming to game one, obviously not mid-season form, but as prepared as we can be for game one.
Yep.
That's what we're looking at. We want to be much further along this year than we were last year.
And Coach, obviously, not talking too much about last year. You finished the season at 4-6. Boots your first year there. You took over Coach Cantrell. Is that right? Or is that
No, second year, yeah.
Second year.
Yeah.
So talk about, when you got to Florala, what was one thing that you wanted to change while keeping the tradition of Florala? What's one thing you wanted to change about the culture? If I'm I stamp on this certain thing as a head coach.
I think one of the I think one thing about that attracted me to Florala was the talent and the opportunity. Obviously, I have a son myself, right, that was going to be a sophomore that first year I got there, and I felt like that this is a great opportunity to get my family and my kid involved in a really good program, a lot of talent around it. I think one of the biggest things, though, that I wanted to establish, and Coach Cantrell's a fantastic coach, but I felt like identity-wise, offensively especially, that they didn't really have an identity. So I wanted to kind of establish like who we were going to be and what we were going to do as an identity standpoint, like you said, without really messing up the chemistry that went on with the talent that we had.
And Coach, talk about identity. It kind of leads to my next question. That's a good job. Identity. What do you want the identity of Florala to be in 2026?
I think I want us to finish, right? I want us to be guys that go out there and compete every single game, but they finish. Like I said, last year started 0-4, but man, then we went on a streak. We won I think 4 out of 5.
Yep. And
we were sitting down that last game against Elba. If we won that game, we made the playoffs. If we didn't, we were out. And we just didn't finish. We like I said, I thought we were probably playing our best football of the season going into that, and we just didn't finish. So I want our guys to be great competitors, which I do feel like that we. I feel like when you play Florala, it's always going to get a competitive game out of us. I really win or lose, whatever. But I think that we're going to put a competitive team on the field. But I want us to finish this year. I want us to be able to compete and get the job done.
And you're talking about your talent. Obviously, you have some younger guys last year that'll be back. A lot of experienced players come out this year for you. But talk about some of those key guys you have, and also some guys that we may not know, but we should know at the end of 2026.
Well, obviously, I got 8 seniors this year, and of those 8 seniors, 7 of them have been with me the whole time I've been there. So, and they've been starters, so 10th graders. So that's really big for I feel for us. We got 4 All-State players coming back. We have Noah Bryan. He'll be back at wide receiver and linebacker. Grayson West will be back in the secondary and wide receiver. Kerry Jones, who was just a 10th grader last year, played a lot for us, made the All-State team. He'll be back this year in skills on both sides, offense and defense. And then we got Gage Davis back at quarterback, who he's a 4-year starter because he started for me a year when we were at DAR. So our experience should be there. We also have Lashad Smiley back. We were lucky to get him in last year. He plays our tight end. H-back. We don't really have a tight end, but H-back, defensive end, big presence for us. We got a lot of guys coming back. Like you said, younger guys too, people that maybe a kid, Dalton Devaney, I think he'll be a young kid. He'll be just a sophomore this year. I think you'll see a lot from him this year. We had a transfer in from Walton High School, Brady C. I think you'll hear some about him. Our biggest thing is we got 32 players, 7 through 12, about 6 sort of really who we're kind of coring around and play. So, stay healthy, and because in our league, man, if you lose one, you lose 2, right?
Yeah,
they're playing both ways. But if you stay healthy, I feel like we're talented enough to maybe be one of those 4 spots at the end of the season.
Coach, before I throw to Mr. Wayne here, what excites you most about this group heading into your first ball game?
Like I said, I think it's our senior presence. I really think that. There's a lot of teams out there that have large numbers in certain grades or whatever, and you kind of look forward to seeing them. Like I said, this bunch has been playing. I'm pretty sure they played as 9th graders before I got there a lot, but they've all started as 10th graders and all started as 11th graders, and they'll be starting this year. But, man, they work so well together. Like I said, my seniors are Noah Bryan, Noah Anderson, Lashad Smiley, Gage Davis, Grayson West, Juju. I brought Julius Davis today. He's anchored our line for 3 years since I've been there. Austin Barnhill and Cam Bradbury. Those guys out there, they have a great working relationship. They're friends off the field. There's good camaraderie. So I really look forward to seeing how these guys are going to, gel on the football field and, use that closeness off the field, on the field to kind of, football's that game, right, where you're not going to be great every night, right? But somebody else might. So your role that night might be, hey, I'm going to pull for my teammate here because he's getting things done, and it might change. And we don't have a lot of guys that are me guys on the team like that. So that don't do that. So I'm really looking forward to that, and I'm looking forward to them having some success. I really do. Like I said, this will be my 27th year coaching football, and I've coached a lot of really good players. But overall, talent-wise, top to bottom, this might be the most talented team I've had. Now, like I said, injuries or sometimes you just don't produce. I don't know, but from a talent level, I think we have good opportunity, like I said, to maybe finish in the top 4 somewhere.
Yeah. Wayne?
Yes, sir. What do you see so far as the biggest difference in this Steers team last year?
Like I said, I think when we came in last year, man, we had a ton of guys that played, right? But like the sophomores that were turning to juniors, they played as sophomores, but their role wasn't as vital as it was last year. I think this year they understand what their job is and what their role is. So I don't think we're coming into this season as maybe deer in the headlight kind of. I think we're a little bit more seasoned. I think we understand what we're doing a little bit more. We've had a coaching change. I lost my defense coordinator, Coach Green, to assistant principal job back home, close to where he is. So we made an in-staff change. We moved Coach Bass to D coordinator, and I was able to hire a offensive line coach, Jackson Turner from Brantley. So that change, I don't think it's going to be as severe on our guys because, like I said, they are seasoned and they're experienced, and I think they can handle that.
What's the culture?
I think that I'll probably speak for every head coach around. Obviously, it's different than when we started, man. It really is. But I think the biggest thing about the culture that we have at our school, and I think what a lot of people don't realize, is we got really good kids. And I think as a football coach, what I want to build is I want to take the kids that we have that are really good kids, and I want our community to see who they are. So I like for us to be involved in the community. I like for us to be out and about and doing things like that. So I really want to establish our culture in our program as guys that are, team first, community first, and second. And we talk about that all the time. We have we have 2 sayings that we go by. One is show up when you feel like it, show up when you don't. And really basically what that means is that you're not always going to feel like doing your job. You're not always going to feel like going to work. You're not always going to feel it. But if you develop that mindset of I'm still going to show up and get it done, I'm there. And second, like I said, we always put, every decision that we make, we want to say, how is this going to impact my team, positive and negative, whether it's on the field, off the field, in the community, whatever. So those are 2 things we try to live by right there. And does it always happen? No. But I think we still try to reinforce. So that's really the push that we want to build. Guys that show up all the time, whether they feel like it or not, and guys that always understand, hey, how's the decision that I'm fixing to make going to impact my team, positive, negative, hopefully.
What's the success?
I think that we feel like we don't have a success season if we're not a playoff team. I really feel that way. I think now again, like I said, there's a lot of factors that factor into that. And we play a lot of good teams that have a lot of great coaches and a lot of great players. But I think from the standpoint of, our talent, where these kids have been, their experience, those types of things, I believe that, if we're not playing game 11, I don't ever think you want to say it's unsuccessful,
Right.
But it's definitely disappointing.
And Coach, how is it coaching your son, not just as a player, but he's also your quarterback? He's kind of the one that kind of decides, I guess, without lack of a better term, he decides to go win some games.
Well, sometimes he forgets he's a player. How about that? Obviously, it's been great. You get to coach your son, you get to be involved in stuff. Like I said, I've had him since the 9th grader when he just got beat around, knocked around all the time to 160 pounds. And now he's going to be a senior this year. But, I think the biggest thing that I've enjoyed coaching him is, like I said, seeing his relationship with these guys that he's built friendships with in Florala that he's been around, and seeing these guys have success together and that kind of stuff. Obviously, I think that he would love to play football at the next level somewhere. I think kids like to do that all the time. But, I hope whatever he does and however he finishes, that he'll remember these times, no matter how much I yelled at him or made him a scapegoat, maybe he'll remember that. It's some of the best time he'll be in the game. I don't know.
Coach, I will say we have a guy, you might not know him, Robert sells a bit school. Gordon Sermon, you were his OC at Robertsdale. Gordon has told us that. It's kind of crazy, small world.
Yeah.
But Coach, what is kind of the storyline? People kind of I guess like the stereotype certain schools like Florala, they might see, oh, they went 4-6 last year. A lot of those guys are turning out to be very good. But what is one thing you think people are overlooking about this Florala team in 2026?
I mean, I think that obviously my first year there we had Ray Sean and had a lot of and we had those guys and guys that was all known. And I think last year, we got the slow start. So I think probably what people think was maybe our talent's gone, maybe we lost talent. We're not very big. I think what we do is unique, and I think it helps us a lot, but we're not big. And I think the biggest thing that people overlook about us is I think the experience that our team has and the talent that we have in the skill position. Because not only do I feel like we have a lot of talent skill position, we have a lot of versatile talent skill position. We have guys that can play running back and then go out and play wide receiver. So it really enables us to go empty without having to change personnel and do things like that. So, anytime in 1A we go empty, there's always a matchup problem somewhere. And if we can find it, we can have success. So I really think that's probably, I think it's easy to look at us and say they don't have a lot of players. They're probably our line's not very deep. And, if we can get through that, we'll be all right. But like I said, I really feel like our skill guys this year are going to be people that can – I think our line's going to be better because, like I said, we have a good line coach in place and really coach them hard. I think our skill guys, top to bottom, like I said, as versatile as they are, I think they're really going to be guys that get the ball and make plays in space for us.
As I start closing up and throw it over to Mr. Wayne.
I'll say, I guess, what teammate or players have proposed just like a lot of biggest decision, just being here too.
I mean, I think that if you asked anybody that, I mean, Noah Bryan to me has always been a guy for us that has kind of set the tone and set the standard. And he's not a loud guy. He's not an in-your-face guy. But the way he does things every single day is a great example. And like I said, I really believe that, he's a guy that sticks out to me. But for that whole senior class, like I said, I mean, I felt like they've done it right since I've been there. Like I said, we don't have a lot of selfishness. We have a lot of guys that pull for each other. But when I think about like who our football team, if they can monitor or mimic that kid, like I said, I believe it'd be Noah Brown. I really think that. I mean, just I think, like I said, he does it right. He shows up every day. He's very coachable. And like I said, I love all my kids. But I'm just saying, to me, I think that's just. I mean, I think he's like our locker room guy that you can look at.
What do you feel like you playing? What's the name?
Well, I think kind of what I was telling Andrew earlier. I mean, even me in general, like just my overall career, I've lost more than I've won, but we've always been able to put a competitive product on the field. I mean, it's always 1-score game, 2-score game, 3 points. I want our fans to know and understand that anytime we walk out there, that we want to put a competitive product in the field. We want to play hard from snap 1 till triple digits in quarter 4. I believe that for the most part we've done that so far. Florala fans, they show up for us, man, and they travel well. I mean, so I'm always appreciative of them being there and supporting our Wildcats. And I think in response, that is something that drives our kids to say, hey, we do want to be competitive. We do want to show up for our fans. So I think that's really the biggest thing for me. If somebody comes to me and you don't always agree with the coach, and you may not think he's done it, but if they can say, hey, we put a competitive product out there, they play hard, they represent our community well, that's something to be proud of, I think, especially in high school football.
That's great. Well, if you have anything to say right now, I'm up here.
Like I said, I think the first thing is we appreciate Florala. They always show up for us. I think that we're in for an exciting season in football. We got alumni game and Meet the Wildcats showing up August 14th. So we'll start that. So my plug here, sign up online. It could be in the game. That's gonna be August 14th. We got that going on, and then like I said, week 1's right around the corner. August 21st, Georgiana at Matthew Stadium.
Coach, I will tell you, we will be one of your games this year. I don't know which one. We'll get your schedule, see what kind of works out. Me and my wife are having our son in October, and I told her it's kind of bad timing. You're in that middle of the good region games, plus playoffs coming in time, but we'll figure it out. We'll get with you. We'll come see the Wildcats, whether it's on the road or at home, whatever the case may be. We'll come watch you guys. But Coach, last question for you here. So, what do you want people to say about Florala when y'all get done playing on a Friday night? Whether it's a player, a coach, what do you want them to say when they walk at that field on Friday night if they play Florala?
That they knew they played a game. They walked off that field and knew they played football. I think the biggest compliment that as a player that you can get is that you're the best teammate that's ever been. But I think as a coach, the best compliment you can get about your team is that, we knew we played football when that final buzzer sounded because your team got after us every night. So, and that, again, doesn't always happen, but that's your goal. That's what you set. And, that's what I want. When we get done playing, win, lose, or draw, I want people to know that they played a football team that night and it was good right way.
You Coach, I lied to you. This is the last question. Your message. Yeah, another last question. But Coach, your final message to the Florala Wildcat faithful as y'all enter in the 2026 season in a couple of weeks.
I would say that I know last year was disappointing because I think we felt like we were on the right verge, getting where we needed to be. I think that we've got a lot of young faces that are going to help us this year. We got a lot of older seniors that are going to do a good job of leading those guys. And I think that if we got a game in Florala at Matthew Stadium at 7 o'clock on a Friday night, that you need to be there because if you're not, I think you'll be missing something.
Yes, sir, Coach. Like I said, we appreciate your time today. Sunday afternoon, I know it's close to getting football season. Your family might not see as much. We appreciate you spending a little bit of your time today. Give exposure to Florala. A lot of people don't know where Florala is at. A lot of media don't go to Florala. So it's good to be able to hear about y'all, the success y'all are having. I look forward to seeing y'all this season on Friday nights.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Sir. And for everybody tuning in, y'all stay tuned because in about 5 or 10 minutes, we're going to be joined by the Straughn Tigers and new head coach Clint Humphrey. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
And the Milton Eagles are state champions for the second time in program history.
Goal to go. They carry him into the end zone with A.J. Green. Because time has expired and Clay Chalkville won the 6A state championship. Here's McGuire. And a big high hop. And it's recovered by Thompson.
And we are back with the 2026 Covington County Media Days here at Lost Pizza in Andalusia. We are joined by the Straughn Tigers first-year head coach Clint Humphrey and his DC JP Spann, who is known well in Covington County. But Coach, starting with you, first-year head coach of Straughn. We had you on the show not too long ago talking about Straughn and your expectations. So kind of tell us, what's it been like taking over? What's impressed you the most about this team?
It's interesting. I don't know that becoming a head coach felt a lot like what I thought it would feel like. It feels a lot more like drinking water out of a fire hydrant. It's kind of how I describe it to people. But it's interesting. Your day to day changes a little bit. I'm a lot more worried about our team floors, and I'm a lot more worried about like our locker room being clean and all that stuff, as opposed to just football. And so, the hardest part about becoming a head coach is learning to balance all that stuff. One thing that's really impressed me about Straughn, though, is kind of what everybody knows about Straughn. Straughn is exactly what people think it is. We have tough kids that do right. We have an unbelievable school. We have great community support, great families, and they're really easy kids to coach. They're not. If you ask me immediately after a practice, I'd probably tell you sometimes they're not the easiest ones to coach. You know what I mean? But they really are. We're so blessed, and the longer you stay at Straughn, the easier it is to take that kind of stuff for granted, because our kids say yes, sir. You say jump, they say how high. I mean, that's exactly what our kids are. And so it's been exciting to coach that type of kid, and just to have the sheer amount of kids. I mean, there's not a kid on our team that I don't enjoy coaching.
And we asked you this when you were on the show, I guess, 2 months ago now? It was a little ways away.
Mm-hmm.
We asked you this question. I'm going to ask you this again, so you had to, a chance to get your feet wet. So what's it been like becoming the head coach of Straughn, and what's the biggest jump from being an assistant to a head coach? So some of the things that have changed.
Well, I mentioned it a little bit just a minute ago. It's crazy, like the amount of things I deal with on a day-to-day basis, the amount of people I have to contact, the amount of things I have to stay on top of. That stuff's. I'm blessed with a phenomenal coaching staff that I'm able to, and I'm not a natural delegator, but I'm able to delegate some of that stuff to them, and they do a really good job of that. Coach Spann's in charge of our locker standards. Coach McCrory's in charge of our cleanup crew. Coach Wiggum is our assistant head coach. He does a great job in terms of helping me with some orders and some things like that. So I'm really blessed to have a large staff, and we were able to kind of build that this offseason, which was huge. But it's hard, man. It's hard for people. As a matter of fact, I had a conversation with a young coach a couple of weeks back, and he said, you're 31 and you're a head coach, you're pretty young. What do you have any tips for me on how to become that? What's it like when you become that? I said, brother, if you like coaching football, don't become a head coach. And I don't mean that in a negative way. I spend more time worrying about things. You go from being a coordinator, and all I think about is 90% football, 10% other things. Then you become a head coach, and it's 90% other things and 10% football.
That's true.
I never understood why people delegated play calling to other people until I became a head coach. And then I said, oh, I understand now. And so now I will retain play calling, but it's a challenge. It really is a challenge.
So I'm going to ask Coach Spann this question. So, Coach, you've been, a few stops along the way, just like Coach Humphrey has. What makes Straughn so special?
Man, just the pageantry tradition. The kids, they're great kids. They'll run through a brick wall for you, do whatever you ask them to do, and just have the community on a Friday night atmosphere.
Mm-hmm.
It is one of the best. It is the best in the county, hands down. The jugs are rolling every Friday night.
Yep.
And the community just literally kind of like Friday Night Lights, has shut the town down. Everybody's at the game, and they're ready to cheer on the Straughn Tigers.
We weren't when I took the job here. An interesting story kind of regarding that. When I took the job here, 3 out of 4, I was at XL before, and I left XL and came here. And I remember Morgan, my wife, saying after the first game, I got home and it was late, and she said, "I get it now. I get why we left. I get why we did that." And that's not a knock on anybody at XL. I love that place.
Yep.
But man, you get here and all the lights are turned on and the jugs are shaking and there's smoke coming out of a helmet, and you run out, man. It's a wild environment. Tiger Stadium's a tough place to play. It gives me chill bumps just thinking about getting to play there in 3 weeks.
I'm going to tell you, when I was at T.R. Miller, I hated it. I just couldn't stand it. Because we had Straughn, actually. So we made it a fleet. When Straughn came to put it at T.R. Miller one time, we had parents take 300 jugs. And y'all fans would put the jugs over the fence because we wouldn't let them take it, bring it to the game. And all you hear was my mom has a video of it, and all you hear is jugs the whole entire game. It sounds like a dang hurricane or something.
We have shirts that say purely jugs.
Oh, nice. So I have one request though. So the Powerhouse first game of the week when we come to Straughn, we need that to be the most jugs ever.
Yes.
We need to set a record.
Everybody's listening to that.
And I don't care if it's Cal. I just want to be loud.
Yes.
That's what makes Straughn so special.
More
but
jugs. Listen, y'all have to come to the first pep rally. I don't know why there's so many jugs in the first pep. I don't know if the whole elementary school makes them that day. I don't really know what happens. The first pep rally, when we walked out, my ears were ringing.
Is that a gym?
It's in the gym.
Oh,
and there's about I don't know how many kids. There's a bunch of kids. I want to say 1,000. It certainly feels like 1,000. Yes, K4 through 12, and every human being in that gym has got a jug, and they're shaking it. And they're not all like that, but the first one's like that. And I remember walking out, and I looked at Coach Wyndham, and I said, "Coach, are they all like that?" And he said, "No, they're not all like that, but they're all pretty loud." And he's right about that. So.
Because you enter a new region. Obviously, it's one of the tough regions. But kind of talk about that region and just some teams that might be circled as a key game for you guys.
Well, look, I mean, like obviously the Straughn and Andalusia rivalry is back on the table, and we're excited for that. We're up to the challenge. We're looking forward. We have a lot of respect for their program, and so our boys are up to the challenge. And really and truthfully, with the private schools being eliminated, we had about 5A means something new now, right, than it used to, than it did last year in the last couple of years. And so we had about what used to be 4 or 5A teams kind of dropped into our region. It is a very challenging region. We're 6 students away from being 3A, so we are the third smallest 4A school in the state. Yeah, but I think it's something that our young men are really up to the challenge. We have trimmed the fat a lot this summer in terms of like our roster. But it's interesting because about the ones that we have left are about the ones that we feel like we can count on. And so we kind of cut the fat and all that good stuff. We're up to the challenge, and a lot of the opponents in our region are just like the guys we've been playing last year. And so it's not totally different. OP is no longer in our region, so we play them in an outer region game. And we're looking forward to that game and that rivalry like anything else. But we're excited about our schedule, and we're excited to play in some really quality places, some quality programs, and to measure ourselves. You get better by doing hard things. We don't want to build this program by playing Rudy Poop teams and all that good stuff. We want to put our money where our mouth is, and that's kind of the challenge every single day.
Uh-oh, there's the man over there.
Yeah, my son just walked in.
If you hear something fall down, he probably. But this fan, you've been some key places in Covington County.
Yes, sir.
This region obviously is tough. How do you think this region prepares y'all for playoff time?
Because we were playing quality opponents week in and week out, and I think by doing that, it's going to get you, from week 5, week 6 on playing really good ball. That's kind of your goal. You're playing really good ball by that time to kind of get you a run into the playoffs. And I think every opponent on that schedule, they're all 50-50. Let's just be honest.
Yep.
And we're going to play our best games to win those games. And I feel like if you play those type games instead of, like Coach Hump said, Rudy Poots, you're going to be prepared to make a playoff run.
Now I'm going to ask you the defensive side of this question, Coach. You can answer the offensive side. But on defense, what did you say, what position group has made the biggest jump from winter to now entering fall camp?
I would probably say the box, especially in our inside linebackers. We kind of had a couple injuries with JT Marino. He tore his UCL during baseball. So we kind of had some younger guys have to come in and get reps, and it's helped them tremendously. Just from going from our spring to our summer, you can tell just by them being in there, getting the reps day in and day out, that they've improved from week 1 to week 8 or whatever it is in our summer camp. D-line has improved. From year 1 under the system to now year 2, just by technique and learn how to play in the scheme.
And Coach, for asking this question, I know I'm going to ask you earlier, but obviously this offseason has been kind of rough. Yeah, I know y'all had to deal with a lot of adversity. Some schools that don't want to imagine kind of the loss y'all have. If you don't mind, speak about this a little bit.
Yeah, our young men have dealt with a lot of adversity this summer, and our coaches too. We have a very young coaching staff, and it's been very different for them. It's interesting. We've dealt with a lot of injury and and obviously we've lost one of our own, Deion Walton, and that's been hard. But it's been very. As difficult as that moment has been, it's been really cool to see our kids kind of push through that adversity. Obviously, God forbid that ever happened to anybody else. But, when it first happens, I think a lot of people, the only experience they have with that is like the Titans.
Yeah.
I really had somebody say to me one time, well, y'all going to be motivated now. You're going to be able to make a run at it. And I looked at them in my office and I said, ma'am, we're a lot more broken than we are like motivated right now. Like we're trying to find a way to get through it, put one foot in front of the other, and just and kind of get through that moment. I don't like using the term "get over it" because you don't really get over it. You know, you just kind of have to get through it. But now that we feel as if our young men are kind of on the other side of that, it's been cool to see them kind of come together. I heard our quarterback over there answer a question. They said, "What's one word that kind of describes this team?" He said, "Family," and that very much is real. Like maybe more than ever in my career, maybe more than ever in any program around here in the state. Like you really find out what people are about when we face those adverse moments. But then, you know, loss aside, like we've had at one point this summer, we had 6 injuries starters, and 4 of them were non-football related. I mean, so we were, that's a frustrating thing. But one of the silver linings of that is we've been able to build a lot of depth, and you know, we're going to get those guys back, and we're glad to get those guys back. Even Marino, he'll be back at this season. It won't be at the beginning, you know. But it's been good for us to be able to build some depth. I've seen a lot of kids step up. One of those young guys that's really stepped up to me, and I think Coach Spann will vouch for this, is Connor Golden in the secondary. You know, he gets in there and on the back end, and I hear him making calls. And he's a sophomore that did not play for us much last year, at all last year. And so to see those young guys kind of grow in those spots has been really, really cool. And without those injuries, they may never have grown. You know what I mean? It may have been next off season before you get a chance to kind of see them grow into those pieces. So it's been cool to see our development and to see our young men push through adversity. We are as prepared for adversity as you could possibly be this year. There is nothing that can happen past this point that we have not dealt with at some point this summer. And so we're as difficult as it has been, and as much as we hurt for the loss, I think our young men are ready and primed to put their best foot forward and step up to the challenge this season.
Matt, one more for him. I thought Mr. Wayne asked a couple of questions. So your non-region schedule is pretty tough, as you mentioned. What is one team on there that maybe your players have been talking about as, hey, we're ready for this one, or maybe it's kind of like what they're looking forward to?
I mean, it's no secret. You know, we have a lot of respect for Op, and I have a lot of respect for Coach Sanders. He's sitting right over there. But I don't think I'm saying anything wrong. We just don't really like each other, and so we have a lot of respect for each other.
He might throw that pizza at you over here.
Don't throw the pizza at me. If there's one thing Op and Straughn can agree on, is that we don't really like each other. And so when you look at our outer region opponents, like that's probably the team that I think our kids circle. Very similar to the in region. You know, you asked me about some of the new teams coming to in region. Well, our kids are most excited to play Andalusia because that's a rivalry they haven't played in Andalusia. So we're excited about Op. A lot of our kids have talked about Leroy. We're excited about that. But then also, you know, we open with Miller. You know, we will have a jamboree versus Daleville at our place, and then we'll open with TR Miller at our place again this year. And our kids, you know, we lost that game by possession, and we fumbled twice and gave up a block punt, and that was the difference in us winning. And, you know, I think our kids have an itch to scratch in that game. I think they have a desire to get back and to put their best foot forward.
So you know me, can that be the game we try to set a record for the most drugs in that game?
In that game? Yeah. Which game are you coming to?
I'm just asking in general. You know they're on.
You can bring your friends Cole and Grayson.
Listen, yeah, your best friends Cole and Grayson.
Well,
you're
Cole and Grayson Malone are good friends of mine. Yeah, bees and carrots. Yeah. We I'll tell you what, when y'all come to town, I'll make sure you guys have some jugs that y'all can take home. Okay. And you guys can enjoy. They're gonna say go Tigers. So. Yeah. I'm all okay. Oh, there you go. It's gonna be black and gold. I'm not gonna do it orange and blue. Yeah. I'm not gonna do it orange and blue.
Too close to off.
That's right. Yeah. But we'll I think Miller, you know, our season opens with some really tough games. I mean, there's tough games throughout it. Don't get twisted. I don't want anybody to take that the wrong way. But it's you know, we'll have a jamboree versus Daleville, and we have Miller at our place, and then Andy at our place. So like it's like what Coach Spann said a minute ago. You know, last year I felt like we ran so much in the summer and we were so well conditioned early on in the season that we kind of peaked. You know, we started 4-1 last year, and you know, everybody talks about how bad the bye week was for us. I don't know if the bye week was really bad for us, but here's what I really think happened. I think we were fatigued. We were never really able to get our feet back under us. We were kind of dead right, if that makes sense. And we had some injuries that hurt us right there in the middle of the season. And we go on a 4-game losing streak. It felt like we were never going to get out of it now. I mean, it was tough. And so, but I think that was just that fatigue from the summer. This summer, our conditioning plan has been a little different in an effort to not really peak before the season. You know, that was kind of what happened last year. We know we have a tough schedule to start the year, but we want to make sure we're playing our best ball by week 4, week 5, week 6. That way we could roll this thing into some
wins.
Absolutely. Well, let's both of you guys. What excites you the most
about this team?
This year.
I think we're probably thinking the same thing.
Yeah, go first.
Okay. So last year we did boards. You know, when you start the season, you're going to line them up against each other. You're going to do Oklahoma and boards and all that stuff. It was a lot like a funeral last year. We didn't really understand it. Like, you know, you hear all these things about how tough Straughn kids were, and that physicality and that toughness kind of comes natural to our kids. And we got on the boards, and it was kind of like business as usual. It was kind of just like, we're going to go hit people, and then we're going to go to practice. And this year, man, we got on the boards Wednesday morning. It was our first day in shells, and it was like a concert. I don't even know how to describe it. There was water flying everywhere, kids yelling at kids. It was coaches yelling at coaches.
It was really good.
It was really, really good. And so this team is a very, I don't know if you've ever listened to me talk about football, but this team's a very aggressive team, and I really like coaching that. You know, we don't just want to be physical. We want to be violent. Like we want to be intimidatingly physical in everything we do. And I think this team has the edge that it needs to maybe be that. Right. Even as physical and tough as we were last year, we didn't really play with an edge about us, if that makes sense. So that's what I'm looking forward to the most. I think our kids are excited to finally hit somebody that's not us. You know, because they're hitting each other really hard right now, over and over and over again. So
What can the fans expect from this team? Coaching staff and each thing. What can they expect?
Well, look, I believe in like really easy, actionable plans. I don't believe in slogans. I don't believe in all that kind of stuff. You know, we talk to our kids about what we call the plan. Our plan every single year, every single week is to be the most excited, be the toughest, be the most disciplined, and be the most fundamental football team. And every single day, those 4 things we can work on, you know. And so I want our kids to see a team that competes. You know, we hosted a 7-on-7 with Brantley, McKenzie, and J.U. Blacksher. And, you know, I probably got a little loud and acted a fool, and I was a little embarrassed when I got done. But, you know, like I want our thing. That's the energy we didn't have. That's the energy that we lacked. You know, I want our kids just to compete every single down. I do say this all the time. If we could get rid of our scoreboard, I would do it. Like, I don't want our kids to know if we're up by 40, down by 40. One of the things I liked about 7-on-7 is none of our kids knew the rules. They didn't know the scoring rules. And so they just went out there and competed. And then I would have kids come to me afterward, Coach, did we win? Yeah, we won. We won because you played with really good energy and you got after it and all that good stuff. And so I want people to see a team that's coached by our coaching staff. And if you didn't have a logo on their jersey, I want people to recognize what that team, what that brand is.
Right, absolutely.
That matters to me a lot.
If and when we're sitting here in December interviewing you guys, what's had to happen?
We've had to stay healthy. You know, we're not the deepest roster. I mean, I don't think there's any advantage that creates for people for we to talk about it. We got to stay healthy. I mean, that's just the nature of the beast. And I think that's most 4A teams. You know, 4A is right there in the middle ground, and it creates a situation where, you know, you're 2 or 3. I think everybody's 2 or 3 injury away from a season that you think could be a pinnacle type season, like the top from that, or it could take an average season to being a pretty bad season pretty quick. And so for us, we got to stay healthy. We got to stay together, and we got to keep working hard and getting better every single day. You know, I think a lot of times kids lose sight of this. You know, once the season hits, we're not done getting better. We got to get better every week, got to get better every day. And so I think that's something that we can just keep putting one foot in front of the other and we can stay healthy. I think we have a chance to be pretty good.
Great. Thank you.
Yep.
And coaches, I'm going to ask both of you this question. Kind of a fun question. I'll start with you first. Give you time to think.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't want to make any enemies up here.
What was I'll push it that chair. But if you're not a football coach, what profession would you be?
Oh my gosh.
I told you that time to think.
Yeah.
I don't know. Sales or a musician, rock star.
A musician?
Rock star. Just go right.
Yeah, a rock star. I like that.
I play a lot of music, and I enjoy.
He's good at it too now.
I play guitar and multiple music instruments, so that's something I would probably enjoy. Kind of be on the road from here, there, and everywhere.
So when a coach has the almost, he's the guy.
He's a phenomenal practice DJ. There's not many, when we go in the stadium, there's not many guys I want on the aux more than Coach Spann. He does a great job.
And Grayson Malone.
Oh, of course, and Grayson Malone. And Grayson Malone. His allegiances are somewhere else, though. I can't steal Grayson from Excel. I can't.
Yeah.
That wouldn't be fair. He's too valuable.
But Coach, what would be your profession if you were a football coach?
Andrew, I don't know what milk costs. Listen, I'll tell you a story. I'll tell you how out of touch with the world I am. I'll tell you how out of touch with the world I am. We have class dinners in the summer, and we're supposed to have a freshman sophomore class dinner on a Thursday. And I start getting parents. It's raining, outside the field house, and I start getting parents text me, and they're like, "Hey, are we still on tonight?" And I'm like, "Yeah, we're still on. We're not canceling this because of rain. What are you talking about?" Well, I pull up the forecast just to see, I'm like, I better look and see how bad it is. The storm had a name, and I didn't even know it. And I was like, ooh, we probably need to cancel this. So I have no idea. My wife, she's here somewhere chasing our children around.
She was just in here. I think that's
Yeah,
her son.
Real fun.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I don't get out much. I'm kind of all in, and so my wife's a stay-at-home mom. She does a great job of holding our household together, and I have no idea what I would do if it weren't for Morgan. I have no clue what I would do, and so she allows me to coach and to put in the hours and the time that I need to do to be successful in this job and to get our team where it needs to be. I don't know what I would do. Maybe I would flip it. Morgan will like this answer. Maybe I'd be a stay-at-home husband
Or a weatherman.
or a weatherman.
Yeah.
Maybe a weather.
I learned some things.
Apparently, you'd be real good at it.
Well, I'd be about on par with the rest of them. I think so.
You'd be real good.
Yeah.
But Coach, as we start closing it up, so who are some kids that people may know, but also some kids that the state might know that kind of step up in 2026?
Well, we've replaced. It's interesting because I don't even know off the top of my head how many starters on O or D that we've replaced. I don't spend a lot of time on stuff that doesn't matter, and so I haven't counted the names or the bodies. Our interior O line, we've had to replace all three. I think Andrew Berry and Abe Walker have really stepped up big for us. Evan Harrison has had a good offseason. In terms of kids that have stepped up and filled roles, our skill players are much better than I think they were last year, just from a year of development. I think we're much deeper in the skill department. Last year we had 2 or 3 guys that I felt like we could get them touches in a game and they would make a difference. This year we have more like 4 or 5, and so which is probably about on par with everybody. But in terms of our returning starters on offense, obviously our quarterback comes back. I'm a firm believer we have the best quarterback in the region, Tate Watson. I don't think there's a whole lot of debate behind that. Both of our tackles come back. Tate Wilson and Easton Hatcher have been huge kids that have been huge in our program in terms of leadership. When you watch both of them walk into a room, I wouldn't have to point them out to you guys. BG has had a really good offseason in terms of development. I'm proud of him and how he's been able to push. But we've had several 9th graders that have stepped up that I think are going to play really key roles for us. Parker Hall, Case and Cobb are 2 9th graders in our program that, I'm going back and forth of, do they play JV or do they just play varsity? That kind of thing, which is a good problem to have.
Good problem.
It's a great problem to have. And so those are 2 really good players. And I'm sure I'm forgetting some, and that's why I hate listing players, because I know I inevitably miss some. But, our kids have stepped up so hard. We've changed the standard of how we practice. I don't know this because I don't concern myself with other people's programs or kids or anything like that. But, I would put our program up against anybody else's in terms of how hard we practice and how hard we train. It is not an easy thing to survive one of our practice. And most of the time, I think that's what our kids are having to do by the time we get to the end of it. But throughout the summer, they've stuck with it, and you're starting to see them kind of turn that corner, which is really the time of year that you want to see that kind of stuff happening. So pads go on this week, or shells were on last week. We go full tomorrow, and we're excited to kind of get our first full practice in. And we're going to take care of them about halfway through the week. We're not stupid about it. But we're really, really physical at practice, and it is really, really hard. You can ask our kids. I think that's been one of the biggest adjustments in terms of me taking over, is them kind of getting used to what the new standard is and how we operate all the time.
I got 2 questions to wrap it up. You got anything else?
No, sir.
So I'm going to start with you. What does Straughn need to do to have success this season?
Need to be able to run the football and play really, really good on defense, especially on 3rd down. On 3rd down. Kind of in that stretch where we went 1-4 after the bye week last year. We did not do a great job of getting off the field on 3rd down. And that kind of turned into long drives. And got a lot of kids going both ways. I think if you improve in that area, have those games, go in our favor.
Message, I guess, to the Straughn faithful as they'll enter in fall camp, and then a couple of weeks away, it'll be your first game.
We're going to have a scrimmage Friday afternoon. It'll be normal practice time. People are more than welcome to come out and watch. Next Friday, we'll have a scrimmage under the lights, and we're hoping to do a little bit of an open house. And we're going to involve our youth in kind of an open practice is kind of what that will be. People are able to come out and look at that. The biggest thing we need from our Straughn people is to do what they've always done, which is show up and scream and shake jugs and yell and all that good stuff. I'll tell you, there's not many places that have better community support. When we go on the road, man, our people show up and create environments in away games that kind of feel a lot of times like a home environment. So not a whole lot to our community in terms of that stuff. Just keep doing what you're doing, keep showing up, get involved, find ways to help the program, and put your best foot forward. And I think if we can do that, and if we can stay healthy and we can keep getting a little bit better every day, I think we can have the season that we want to have. But it's going to take all of us. It takes a village. So,
Coaches, we appreciate you guys spending time with us in the Sunday afternoons. The season gets closer. We know it's kind of hard to find time, especially as you prepare for the season, but we appreciate you guys being here, again, being with Lost Pizza. And for everybody that's watching, y'all don't go away because we're going to wrap up Covington County Media Days with the Out Bobcats in about 5 minutes. Y'all like and share. And the Out Bobcats will be on right after this.
And the Milton Eagles are state champions for the second time in program history.
Goal to go. They carry him into the end zone with A.J. Green. Because time has expired and Clay Chalkville has won the 6A state championship. Here's McGuire. And a big high hop. And it's recovered by Thompson.
There you go. You can. There you go.
Right? You never change it. I'm angle all that.
See, it freezes when you do that.
Because of the angle. Don't embarrass me.
And we are back live with the Powerhouse Sports Media Days here from Lost Pizza Company, Andalusia. And we are here with the Yacht Bobcats. And Coach Saunders, thank you for spending time with us this Saturday or Sunday afternoon. It's been to kind of give exposure to the Yacht Bobcats, kind of give us your story of becoming the head coach, down your journey.
Well, I originally from out, moved back a couple years ago and had retired. And so I was defense coordinator for 2 years. And then Coach Rigby left.
Mm-hmm.
And so it just kind of happened, rolled into it, applied for the job. I was already living right there in town. So I went back in full time.
Those stories are always good. It's kind of happens. You know, it's easy. You know, your interview process, one question is, hey, you want to do it again? Sure, why not? But Coach, y'all are in a tough region this year. Obviously, T.R. Miller, Jackson, Fulton, Escambia County, all those guys. You're with back-to-back state champion Jackson. So what's kind of the region, you know, what is your take on the new region? Is there any games y'all have circled to be like, hey, you know, this game, you know, it's kind of maybe more important than the other, or this game could be a turning point in our season if they can get it done?
No, we don't have one circle. We want to win the first one, then we want to win the second one. Stay healthy and keep competing. Finish high as we can in that region, because we can win that region or finish high and get a home game that you feel like we'll be playoff tested, no doubt.
And then you mentioned, obviously, being retired, Op came and I get the call. So what made Op the right opportunity to say, you know what, I am going to go back into coaching and, you know, get one more go?
I live there. Son goes there. Even if I didn't set it in there, even if I didn't live in Op, I would have been interested in finding a job, good school, good community.
And I was one of those teams, too. It's always a contention. It's always a playoff team. I got to watch them last year in the first round. Now, y'all trying to build off last year. Has there really been any emphasis on last year at all? Or is it kind of be, you know what, it's a new year, new era, this is what we're going to do?
Yeah, I mean, last year, we want to continue some of those things that we did well and learn from the things we didn't. But we don't say much about last year's. Like I said, new team. We got new seniors, new juniors, new sophomores. And so this year's team, last year's team won 9 games. This year's team haven't won a game yet. So.
Yep. That's true. And Coach, you know, every coach has, you know, they want to change it to their culture. They want to change things. What's kind of been your biggest emphasis on as far as you've done since taking the op job?
Well, the coaches before me did a great job. So you want to continue that, and everybody's got to be their own self. You know, do the things they know will win. Same thing every coach is going to say this day, do as much as you can, hard as you can, and all that. You know, that's what we want to do. We just want to set a standard and be accountable and do the things that help win. Work on things that help us win the ball game, and all the fluff and all the sayings and all that. You know, some of that's good. I got no problem with it. Mm-hmm. We want more of the substance, but we want to work on things that help us win.
And how have players responded to your style of coaching, and also, you know, kind of your game plan, you know, changing the offense a little bit, changing the defense? How have players responded who's gotten there?
They responded well. We just didn't do an overhaul. It wasn't like we 2-8 and 1-9. Yep. You know, like I said, previous coaches had done a really good job, so we continued some of that. And but they respond to our coaches. Most all our coaches, the position coaches, have been there for a while, so it really wasn't I'd been there 2 years, so it really wasn't a big change.
And then I'm going to throw to Mr. Wayne at this question here. So, what is the identity that you want this 2026 out football team to have?
Well, every coach, like I said, say the same thing. We just want to be physical. Because if you're not going to win. We told them, you go back, look at the state championships in high school. You look at the national championship in football and NFL. All the winners have one thing in common. They're the physical and they can run the ball. And they make at least amount of mistakes. But more games are lost on assignment and alignment than physical mistakes. So you eliminate those, not turn it over 5 or 6 times, you'll have a chance.
That's right. Go ahead, Mr. Wayne.
Yes, sir. Thank you for being on the show with us. What do you feel like is going to have to happen for you to be competitive on this championship year one?
We're going to have to believe we can win. And if we don't do those things, we talked about it. I think we can beat everybody in our region. But if you have one of those nights, everybody in our region can beat us. So we're going to have to be physical, limit those turnovers, have some confidence,
right,
and execute. Because if you go in, playing not to lose, you're going to get beat. We got to go in and take some games.
Well, what's impressed you most about this year?
And they say they've been really together, play hard, they practice hard, they don't complain, they're coachable, and we get loud with them, all that. They just say, yes, sir. And, they just go to work. They're very coachable. And we got a lot of good kids. It's very coachable. And it's hot football, the practice, all that's not fun. Nothing about fun in football except playing the game. And but they're enjoyable to be around. Outside of football, a lot of them pick at each other and have a lot of fun. Yeah. So it's enjoyable to be around and are very coachable.
But you like the new region lineup alignment?
Well, I do, but it's different. We still got our natural rivals. that we had in our region was still playing. But it's and you're gonna find out real quick.
Yep.
I mean, you're gonna find out real quick. Have we done a good job preparing them? And are we in shape? I mean, we won't have to wonder very long.
Right.
And we can either pick it up if we're not there yet, pick it up and go on, or it's not gonna go very well for us.
Right.
But again, if we're not physical, it's not gonna go very well for us.
Well, if somebody's not familiar with football, what identity do you feel like this team will have?
I mean,
Number one.
I hope we're tough and physical. I mean, I keep saying that, and they know what to do. We play with discipline, and discipline don't mean you're frozen a robot, but you not jump off the side of the team, goes on a different count, jumping. You don't get 15-yard penalties. I mean, they're all unnecessary, but running your mouth and all that kind of stuff. Because we don't have to do that. We can't afford those kind of things. Not turning it over. In this region, if we don't, it will not go well for us.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
There's no room for that. But if we do those things, it could really catapult you. I mean, it's kind of like there's no gray area. There's no gray area.
And Coach,
Go ahead.
you lost a good bit of seniors, but you have a lot of guys returning who have had experience playing football.
Mm-hmm.
Who are some of the kids that have impressed you so far? Heading into fall camp.
Golly, we got so many. We've got these 4 young men sitting over here. Our returning guys. But I tell you, those guys that played last year turned off. We've had several guys that necessarily may not started last year, but on one side that have really had a lot of game experience that we feel real good about. It may say, defense lost 5 guys, but those guys that are in there have really done a good job. Like I said, had some game experience and might have started on offense last year, but maybe on defense right now. But our returning guys, Cam James and Savon and Cade Reynolds and AJ, all those 3-year starters. On offense, back with Sean Coon up front on offensive line, who's play tackle. We moved to center. Luke flipping around on the defense side with Cade and Cam and Savon and some of those. AJ in the middle and Luke Sanders in the middle. But those other guys that we've got playing, Kamarion Matthews, who started corner. He had an injury preseason last year, missed the whole year. That would have started for us last year. So we had a couple of those, but we got some young kids that have really come a long way too. May not starting. So it may look like we're replacing half offense and defense, and number wise we are. But we feel good about it. Everybody we're working on our depth chart, and we work a lot of kids, a lot. So we feel good about. We tell them when we put them in the game, we expect them to execute.
Sure. And what defines a successful season? Not just wins and losses, but what defines a successful season for the Bobcats?
I mean, we win them all. I mean, I know, I get it, but I won't know till we get into it. I mean, is it 7-3? I mean, if we got everything out of us, how many wins we have? And that's what it'll be. 5-5, 10-0. Did we get everything out of them that we wanted to get, or did they play that way every Friday? I mean, I can't answer that. I mean, everybody's gonna say, well, 15-0. Yeah, I mean, I know. They had a 400-something teams, and maybe 2 or 3 of those, in state. So hopefully we get everything out of them that we can get out of them.
I'm saying, because I like it. I just want to pick your brain when I sit down with you and talk football. I feel like your age is what sounds very educating compared to some of the other guys we talked about before. He knows what to say and what not to say. You can't trap.
That's the part, yeah.
You can't trap him. But Coach, fun question for you. If you were never a coach, because obviously you've been a coach for a long time, what would you have chosen to do besides being a football coach?
Well, I don't know if I'm good at this, but I know I'm not good at anything else either. But I always want to be like FBI or undercover guys. When they go kick these doors, I probably would run screaming if they jumped up. But I know if I had the SWAT team behind me, and all that. But that's what I always want to be, like FBI undercover, either drug or try to infiltrate a biker gangs. I don't know.
Bring them back.
Those are the shows I watch. So anyway, I mean, if that was it, that was always what I want. That would have been what I did, or the military. One of those.
Because you talked about some of those guys being on your staff for a long time, like Coach Cassidy, Coach Buckley, all those guys I've known for playing against when I was T.R. Miller. So what some of those guys, coaches said they've been there for a long time, have really made what Op is today.
Yeah, Brother Nall, Cam Pierce, David McVeigh, Greg Taylor, Orlando Lacey, good player at Op. They've all, Ronnie Mosley, he was off year 2, come back to us. They love Op, they love our kids. They coach them hard, but they love them and they love on them. And I'm really, really, really blessed to have those guys.
And I've been Chanel. I used to call it Chandler Lee Stadium, but I found out last year I was saying it wrong. I almost got crucified for it. But what makes Op so special on a Friday night that people really need to know about that aren't from this area?
Well, it's like a lot of these communities. It's one thing going on in town that night, and it's most people know all those kids that are playing, and they really want them to succeed. It's like a lot of our athletics. Our people's going to come out, and I heard Coach Humphrey say about when they go on the road. It's a lot of teams in this area, this county. You go on the road, our community, like we talk about, they want to go, they want to go and see. It's a lot of times we'll have a bigger crowd on the road than those other teams.
And Coach, we want to ask you real quick your hatred towards Straughn. I'm just kidding. But so one of y'all's fans here, Tim Meadows, he messages me. It's probably 3 times a week, 4 times a week. I went out last year. I covered the Neal and Op game first in the playoffs. He told me his chair color he was going to be at. And he talked to me. He told me things about Op that I didn't even have a clue about. Like back in the day, way back in the day, I'm just like, okay. He said, these people? I do not. But people like that, that's what makes Op so special. Talk about some of those fans that come to these games on Friday night that might not know how special they make this place.
Yeah, they do. Like when I remember in elementary school, I remember seeing Tim. He was the manager. He was known all over the South, running up waving that towel. When I'm in elementary school once then. He's still with it. But you got so many of those people, and they still sit in that chair on that spot on the hill, or they're in that same spot. They're there early. We have where we get off the bus for our game call and have the Bobcat walk and the bands later there and people come. It's one of those special places that your community cares about, and hopefully we can do a good enough job that they'll have some pride in.
I do need to text him back today because he asked if I was going to talk to you, and I never texted him back about, hey, he said, here's Coach Lay. He got your number. He texted to me. I never texted you. I was like, I texted him, never responded back to me. So, I said, now we got him on the show.
I get him daily. Even when I've coached off at other places, told Tim's not getting there.
Hey, there's nobody that loves out more than them.
You do.
That's heart and soul, bro.
It is. He loves smart, man. I used to tell him when I was at other schools, if I played, the Union Patriots, he would think he's going to find a way to talk to his ops going in. Or the Atlanta Braves, he's going to say how high school baseball can beat them. But that's good. That's a good thing.
You tell Wayne, you got anything else for Coach to do?
I do not. Thank you again, Coach.
I appreciate y'all for what y'all doing. This was awesome.
You look at first guys you got over there. It's on fun.
Oh, yeah. And Coach, one last thing for you. Or 2 questions for you. Number one, if y'all play a team on a Friday night, whether it's Straughn, T.R. Miller, Jackson, whoever, what is one thing on this coaches and players say about Op after they get done playing on Friday night?
Well, I tell like usually they flip the film on, I'm going to say that we're going to have to buckle our chin strap and get after it because they're going to get after us. Now, we talk about it in the meeting room. We can talk about it. We've got to go out. You got to go out and do it. And I think you only do that. I think you can't get physical if you don't practice physical. Not beating them to death, but you got to have certain periods in that week to do physical things and challenge. And if you're not in shape, that's another thing. We got to be in shape. We got to keep them both ways. And we got to do good job. The coaching staff scripting out ways to get them off the field, give them some rest. But if you're in a tough game and early, late fourth quarter, you're give out tired and you haven't set like that in practice, you don't know how to respond. You've got to know how that feels during the game. And if we don't, and if we're not shape, that's 100% my responsibility as a coach. I have failed.
Yep.
So that's what we'll try to do.
And Coach, one final question for you. What is your message to the Op Bobcat faithful about the 2026 season?
We hope we make them proud. We appreciate them coming out. We hope we'll represent them in class, on the sideline, and hopefully by the way we play the game, it'll make them proud. We're gonna try.
And Coach Powerhouse Sports will be back over there towards Alabama this year. We have some games circled that we're thinking about going to. So we'll see you again, I'm sure, and hopefully have you on again, talk about the progress y'all made and all that good stuff.
I hope so. We would appreciate it, and thank y'all.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
And for everybody that's watched Media Day, for everybody that showed up here today at Lost Pizza Company, we appreciate you. Shout out to Skip Enzer, Can't Skip This, for helping us produce Covington County Media Day. Shout out to Big Daddies for the shirts and the polos that we've been able to wear today, and also Lost Pizza for hosting it. It's been a great environment, great time, a lot of great coaches and players got to talk to today. But until then, I'm Andrew Etheridge, of course, Wayne Johnson, Les Sanders, the Bobcats. We appreciate y'all watching and tuning in, and we will see y'all next time here on Powerhouse Sports.